Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. How much the gang we packing? We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas key. You with me, sheesh. Bonito, cheap, keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it, now I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late. Seen him down bad, now they tryna hate. Same ones try to hit me for the raise. Got a meal, now they coming with a blaze. Check the numbers, fam, I swear I'm getting paid. I'm a Don just like the Perrier. It's one time when I'm looking at a face. On the low like I'm pushing up the bass. Told him come down and I'll meet him at a gate. a check and I bought myself a place. They get some money and they blow it on bait. I don't flex, but I'm pushing all the weight. Told them all, I swear I got it's what it takes. Phone started jumping, what a day. Swear to God I need it now, I can't afford to wait. I just had a fan hit me up from Kuwait. Told him this would happen and we not a minute late.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Mafia. We got a lot to look at on the charts today as Bitcoin dominance continues to dump from the POC. We got Bitcoin coming back down to its local value area low. And we got the potential lower high put in at the Golden Pocket 786 retracement that we looked at yesterday. I want to show you guys the key levels down below, what I'm looking for next on price action. And then obviously we will break down the altcoins as we do have some pretty bullish signs and bullish signals popping up on a lot of altcoin charts. So we got a lot to look at today, Mafia. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Shout out to Bison9 in the chat. Good to see you in here. We got Pennywise, everybody's favorite clown. What is going on, Penny? Welcome in. We got CandleMafia's John Cena. You can't see him, guys. You can't see him. We got Beppy in the chat. Let's see. Shout out to Vegas Claw. Said Frankie is the type of guy. And that's it. Just Frankie's the type of guy. Shout out to Vegas Claw. Welcome in, man. We got Chris in the chat. Nick Dunn. As always, good to see you in here. We got Jixer410. What is going on? Said, I'm down 0.13. What the heck does that mean? Shout out to Jixer. Welcome in. We got Jesse, our like police in the chat. Servando Estrada. What is going on? We got Cryptopher Columbus in the chat, dropping those sauce cans and fire emojis. Let's get it. But guys, I don't want to waste too much time here. Let's see. Brian said, we here for the history. Let's go. Shout out to Brian. We got Luca in the chat. What is going on, Luca? Is that Luca Anon Luca? Shout out to Luca. Welcome in. But yeah, we got a lot to look at here today. Vegas Claw says, Frankie's the type of guy to lose his virginity and then gain it back. Give me back that card. Give it back to me. But shout out to Vegas Claw. We got K Diggity in the chat. K Diggity. Phoebe says hi. But guys, we obviously have a lot to look at on the charts as we have just come down to a A level of support. I don't know how key it's going to be. I'm going to talk about a potential bigger pullback. I'll also cover the bullish case here, and I want to cover the rejection we saw at that golden pocket 786 that we were looking at yesterday. Shout out to anybody that was in the live stream yesterday looking at that key level of resistance. Did turn out that we did get the rejection from that level. So we're going to go ahead and jump on into the charts here, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. We're doing a giveaway at the end of tonight's stream. If we get 1,000 likes on tonight's live stream, I will give away $200 in Solana. And shout out to Tony D. Just picked up a package. We might have some extra stuff to do for the giveaways if we can hit our like goals. So smash out that like button if you have not already. You appreciate the free content. It's the easiest and most free way to help support the channel. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, let's see. Shout out to Lion Financial, or Leon, as I like to call him. Shout out to you, man. Says Frankie, it's incredible how accurate Frankie is. Can't imagine where I'd be in my trading if I hadn't learned from this channel. Shout out to Lion. I wish I could pin that. We do have a poll. Oh, actually, no, we can pin that. I'm going to pin that for now. Shout out to Lion Financial. Let's go. I appreciate that, bro. That's why I come up here every single day, is to help you learn. Never to give financial advice, obviously, but to help you learn the ways we do this analysis, guys. And I have some really, really simple bullish setups on the Bitcoins, on the altcoins to show you guys. I do feel that, my long-term bias here, guys, does still remain exactly the same. I'm going to turn off that. Actually, you know what I'll do here? I'll come on down to a cleaner chart here. We'll pull up right here, come up to a higher time frame. Obviously, guys, the higher time frame context does remain the same. I am going to be looking for higher lows and higher highs to be coming in here. Whether we can do it here at this anchored VWAP is going to be another story. I'll kind of talk about what I'm looking at locally here. But as you guys know, as we have gotten the clean breakout of our major range, just to catch anybody up who has not been watching the live streams, we got this strong breakout with a nice volume, nice follow through. This is clearly a bullish breakout into new all-time highs. Absolutely beautiful to see. Any pullbacks that we see here, guys, even if it does come lower, I am going to be looking for higher lows and higher highs to come, as I do believe that we are entering that final phase of the bull market where Bitcoin can start getting super exciting, funnel all the noobs in at the top, and then absolutely dump on them. Obviously, Bitcoin has been in a bull market for quite some time, but there, like I'm going to show a little bit later in the stream, there is a ton of opportunity on altcoins. We got dominance coming down. We got Total 3's volume profile getting pushed through like a mofo. If you guys have been watching the channel, we've been looking at that as well. I'll bring it up in a minute. But as you guys know, even if we do get a bigger breakdown here, we do obviously have some really big key levels of support. One of the biggest levels I will be looking at is the $110,000 zone, as this would be a full pullback to retrace and retest the structural highs / value area high here of the breakout, right? Sometimes price does like to go revisit the scene of the crime. And we could also, I was talking to the premium Discord earlier today about how, obviously, when we get a big breakout like this, guys, there is going to be a lot of FOMO longs that come in, and I will take a look at the liquidation heat map with you guys and try to find out where that liquidity is sitting. But sometimes you do want to come down and wreck the longs before finally sending this thing into that parabolic move. Or, we could just put in an early higher low and then send it to the upside. I have closed one of my scalp longs. I'll break that down in just a minute. But what I do want to show you here, guys, is last night, obviously, we were looking at this golden pocket retracement as a key level of resistance to potentially put in a lower high, and this was a very key level of resistance, because if we were, which we didn't, but if we were able to come up to that 786 Fibonacci retracement and flip that to support, that could have potentially sent us into new all-time highs. But until you flip that 786, this actually does stand to be the last area on the chart to potentially put in a high, a low, a lower high before finally coming down and breaking structure to the downside, cracking us down to some of the next key levels of support that we'll be looking at. Obviously, I will give you guys those levels. They are the same as yesterday, so if you've been here, if you were here yesterday, you will know about that level. But just from my context standpoint, right, this was a very important Fibonacci retracement, and we did have a short setup in the Discord here. However, we did get the confirmations here at like 2 a.m. So I was obviously not on the charts, surprisingly, not at 2 a.m. So I did not take the short position personally, unfortunately, but it did give us that drop down to our value area low. This has been our local volume profile that we've been watching, with our value area high sitting here at 119,525, value area low sitting at about 116,724, with that PLC right in the middle at $118. We caught the long from the low here, got the move up to the value area high. That played out very nicely. I did close that position now in profit, obviously. So I am out of that position at this point. I am still holding some longs from lower, but we did get that next little retracement into that golden pocket 786, which was that last line in the sand to put in that lower high. And as we reject here, guys, it does open up the possibility of a lower low to come in. And where I would be looking to potentially get a lower low would be, obviously, of your high, your low, your lower high, high, a lower low would be the crack of structure to the downside here of this wick at about $115,752. And I will bring up the liquidation levels in just a minute to show you guys where that liquidity is sitting. And then I will jump into this local price action as we have come down to a little scalp level that we have down here for a little bit of a bounce. But, if we are going to indeed see the high, the low, the lower high, and the lower low, I will be looking at the next major level of support sitting down here at the Golden Pocket Daily MPOC Confluence, sitting at about $15,000, right? 15,000. Oh, my God. Bitcoin's at 15K, guys. It's going to zero. I'm just kidding. $115,000. Daily MPOC is at about 115 even. And then that Golden Pocket starts at about 115,360. So if we do put in that lower low, this would be technically the next key level to look at. I will be interested in potential long positions if we make it down there, right? Maybe we just take off from here. But I'm going to show you Market Cypher B and why I do think we could potentially get that continuation. But again, this does not make me bearish, right? Does not make me super bearish. Obviously, we are looking for a potential move down, but we do have plenty of support down below, guys. Even if we got that more aggressive drop down towards $110,000 to $112,000, still looking for macro higher lows and higher highs, right? And why is that, right? Well, simply put, right, it has been the signals that we have been looking at on the chart for quite some time, right? We have that 2-day money flow crossover into the green, making us anticipate that eventual all-time high as we worked ourselves out here in this little bull flag, looking for that all-time high, heavily based off this 2-day money flow crossover into the green, which is absolutely beautiful. It is still in the green. We do finally have this 2-day red dot printing, which we have been waiting for, as we had seen that VWAP cooking towards the zero line. And, once we see that crossover, that's typically where you get those red dots. So again, right, this is kind of, not warning sign, but this is like puzzle piece number one that could indicate a little bit more of a correction here. But again, money flow indicates the overall trend. You can see even after we got the crossover here, we came up, we came back down, but that trend did eventually come to the upside, pushing us into that new all-time high. So as of getting this breakout, guys, any pullback has to be looked at as lackluster until we wind up hitting support, and I will be looking for higher lows and higher highs until that money flow starts to look really ugly, which it doesn't quite look like that just yet, right? We are still thick in the green, and if we are going to be entering that final phase of the bull market where we could see Bitcoin finally hit its all-time high, have the altcoins follow suit. We've obviously gotten Ethereum to finally tap our key target to the upside at the value area high. Literally happened like 20 minutes or 15 minutes after I ended the live stream last night. We had that alert set, and of course, I end the stream at 7:30, and like 7:38 we hit that target. My alarm went off. Pretty funny how that winds up working out like that. But obviously Ethereum is going to be the first mover for the altcoin, so obviously some other stuff is pumping as well. XRP new all-time high. Shout out to the XRP army, baby. Finally XRP puts in like a legitimate all-time high again. I've been holding XRP for what feels like my entire life, and finally nice to see this thing put in an actual all-time high. So again, if we're entering that final phase, guys, it would make sense, even if we got a pullback, to put in those higher lows and higher highs, where we have the local key level of support at 115K. If we do wind up cooking below that golden pocket, maybe we get a little bounce, and if it does not sustain support, and we do wind up losing this level, that's probably where I'm going to be targeting the lower levels. Obviously, between about $112,000 and $110,000, and the reason for that, guys, is because if we pull this volume profile where we just broke out of, the value area high comes in at about $110,000-ish, $109,000 more. Well, actually, let me pull up the actual volume profile that we're looking at, so it's pulled to the exact same level, right? So it's pulled from I took out this little first push up into the higher prices, and then I just took this area of balance, $110,000 value area high, and then we also have the structural highs here on the top of the candle here from that previous all-time high, which does obviously start about $112,000, and we also have the daily MPOC sitting there as well. This is going to be a big level to watch. Again, if we do start cracking below these highs, guys, it is going to be a little bit more bearish in my opinion. I'm not saying I would necessarily anticipate a bear market or anything like that, but really if we get a bigger retracement, right, this is the big zone of support to look at. I don't know if we're going to wick back down into the POC or not, but at the end of the day, on a higher time frame, you do just want to look at it and see it as a retest of support before breaking out to higher prices. And again, it has to be a potential bat phone ringing here real quick. It is going to be a very big level of support. Daily MPOC, structural highs, value area high as well. And let me actually pull up this anchored VWAP from below. Whoops. Bada boom. Grab that anchored VWAP. Pull it from the bottom here in June. Here's the thing, right? Again, I like this golden pocket because we have confluence on the daily MPOC. Underneath that, obviously the 786 is going to be a zone, right? You're always going to be looking at that golden pocket 786 as a zone, just like on the way to the upside. You don't know if you're going to reject the golden pocket or go for the full 786 retracement. So technically, this 786 does sit at about 113.2. However, there's just no confluence here unless if we work our way down, we'll have to keep an eye on this anchored VWAP. I would think we'll probably push up a little bit higher than the 786, but honorable mention, the anchored VWAP from the June bottom could wind up being confluent with that 786. But again, other than that, it's just the 786. Here you have the daily MPOC. I do like that level a little bit better. So if we do not hold that key level, again, honorable mention at the 786. But once we lose that, I am going to be looking to come back down into this bigger key zone of support, which again is not going to have me scared, not going to have me worried, right? Assuming that the chart still looks bullish on the higher time frames, I will be looking for massive bounces there. Hopefully we can get them. But again, until we get price to come down and interact with that level, we can't really front run that, right? We have to see what the price action looks like as we tap the level. But just to kind of give you guys an overall thought, if we do get a bigger pullback, it is, in my opinion, not the time to really get super scared. As I'm going to be looking for higher lows and higher highs, right? Regardless of what level it comes in at, we'll obviously have to assess the situation as we push into those key levels. But again, overall, I am still remaining bullish here long term. And then if we break back down into this range, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll find some bigger key levels of support and find like the really big macro invalidation. But for right now, I would say between $110,000 and $112,000 is kind of the biggest lower level that I would like to be looking at. Let's see. Bada boom. Shout out to Vegas Claw says, pull it from the bottom in June. Frankie Gambles. Shout out to Vegas Claw. If I had a gambling YouTube channel, I would probably be called Frankie Gambles. It's actually not a the name Frankie is really easy to make nicknames for. Frankie Two Shoes, Frankie Bag of Donuts, Frankie Candles, Frankie Fibs, whatever you wanna throw in there. It's a pretty easy nickname to make. But shout out to Vegas Claw in traditional gamble fashion. Vegas Claw. But let's see. And then, okay, so yeah, 115, right? Again, depending on if we wick down back below. The one thing I will mention here is if we pull up a little bit of a lower time frame, we do have this, again, it's not a lot of confluence. We don't have any MPOCs. We have no horizontal levels or anything like that. But you can see we did get a little bit of a hang up here at about 113.2 up to about almost $114,000. I believe there's a CME gap there as well. So again, this is always going to be looked at as a zone of support. But again, I just want to let you guys know I am going to put a little more focus on that golden pocket because of the confluence that we have there. So again, whether we take off from here, which again, I'm going to show you Market Cipher B right now and show you why I do think the continuation could happen. But whether we bounce here, inside the fib zone or down here, like at the end of the day, long term, I am going to be expecting bigger moves to the upside, and I will be looking for longs inside a lot of these zones. But if we don't get the confirmations, I'm just simply not going to take the trade, right? But continuing on here, taking a look at Market Cipher B, right? So obviously yesterday we were looking at the golden pocket for a rejection. Surprise, surprise, we got the rejection. But now as we take a look at this, right, obviously we do have the 2-day red dot that we just talked about. And on top of that, right, looking at our 12-hour red dot printing, we also have our 45-minute money flow crossing into the red, or was crossed into the red here. If this money flow on the 45 minutes stays in the red, guys, this would probably be what I'm looking at to continue the move to the downside. Maybe if we can invalidate this and get a nice crossover into the green, we can hold support on the value area low, which is obviously, like I said, a key zone of support. We have a 786 there, daily MPOC that we tapped into, and the value area low, so no surprise here to get the bounce. But, if we get this money flow, if this VWAP rolls back over and we get this money flow deeper into the red, understand we do have that 12-hour red dot printing, and that is a bearish Market Cipher B116 setup, indicating with that 45-minute money flow crossover into the red, you may be able to continue a little bit of a lower high, lower low situation. And again, I will be looking at targeting that $115,000 level first. And if we pull up the liquidation heat maps, let's take a look at this real quick. I will say, obviously, when we look at this, starting at about 115.6, we do have a bit of a hot spot of liquidity here. These liquidation levels do oftentimes act as a magnet for price. It does not guarantee that you have to come down there, to be very, very clear. But when you get really close, I would say probably 8 out of 10 times. If you are looking for longs, we were looking at this in the premium Discord as a key level. We are getting the bounce. We did get some kind of bullish confirmations down there. However, you do have to be careful because that liquidity sitting below about 115.7, obviously right below this low, could act as a magnet, and we might want to go sweep out that liquidity, which could, once we cross that line, trigger a lot of liquidations and stop losses to get hit, which would give you that big liquidation wick to the downside. The nice thing about that is you would be liquidating right into the daily MPOC golden pocket, right? So very simply put, for the continuation to the downside, this is the next level I'm looking at. And hopefully we can get a bounce there, but if not, you also have the bigger level. So I don't know. It's very hard to call. Again, you have the 2-day red dot printing. That could give you a bigger move to the downside. You have the 12-hour red dot with the 45-minute money flow crossover. These things could potentially give you that continuation down. But, especially in a strong, aggressive move like this, guys, we've talked a lot about even on this move to the upside from $75,000 in these aggressive uptrends. Sometimes Bitcoin does not like to give the bulls chances to get into long positions. You can see we never took the lows here. We covered this last night on the live stream as well. You just kind of bing bong around, you pennant out, you smash to the upside. Even here, you start to stall out, but you just hold the higher lows. You never go take that liquidity that was sitting down below. So sometimes that can come by a little bit of surprise. That's why I say it's never a guarantee that you have to come down and take that liquidity, especially in an aggressive move up like that, which is why we've been looking at some of these local levels of support. And like I said, I am holding my longs from lower. So I am being patient for a potential move back down. If not, if we take off from here, great. I would honestly prefer that, to be quite honest, because I'm already holding longs. So, not that because I want that to happen, it's the higher probability, but, I would prefer that just so, my trades can continue to play out here. But at the end of the day, we can't ignore that 12-hour red dot. We can't ignore that 45-minute money flow crossover. And we for sure cannot ignore that 2-day red dot. But again, in aggressive uptrends like this, you could see, I could try to look at it here, right? We had a 2-day red dot. We came down. We still didn't take the low. We just got a little pullback, and we sent it right back into another leg. So by no means am I saying you have to come down here. But I just want you guys to be prepared if it gets scary, right? This is probably going to scare a lot of people. What is this percentage? This would be about a 5%, 6% drop to the downside. That is typically where people start to panic. From what I can see, having a YouTube channel, reading sentiment, 5%, people start to get nervous. So that is, and 5% moves to the upside start to get people excited. So I just want you guys to be aware, if you do get that drop down, just understand, like, the longer term is looking pretty good in my personal opinion, right? So hopefully we could just stick the low here, but, keep in mind those bearish signals. I'm going to be sitting on my hands, holding my longs, waiting for another potential opportunity to catch maybe another long position. And then as far as shorts, to be quite honest, I'm not really a fan of, like, aggressively trying to short every move to the upside. I totally would have taken this if I was up at 2 a.m. But again, in an aggressively bullish long-term sentiment, I'm probably looking for that. The plan for this trade is to deviate from the value area high, put in the rejection, get back into your range. And as you can see, the volume profile gives you the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful guide to where price is going to go, as it usually does. You get the drop down into the range, bearish retest on the value area high. You cannot break out. At that point, the next likely place for price to go is the POC. Lose the POC, you head on down towards that low. And we got that full rotation, which is very nice. But yeah, for short positions, it's like if we do come back up, or just not even just short positions, but just like potential rejections, right? If we do come back up here, at the end of the day, the 786 remains the key level to break above. If we can get a push up from here somehow and we flip that 786, that is the doorway to new all-time highs. So anytime we come back up and revisit this, I'm probably not going to be super interested in a short position. I can't promise I won't take one. If I get confirmations that I happen to be on the chart, I'll probably take it. But at this moment, right, it's too late to short for me personally, right? We've already gotten the move down. I'm not going to FOMO into shorts. I'm happy to let price drop down and then look for those next long positions. All right, let's jump back into chat real quick here. 115K. Hopefully we SFP 200X long. Let's go. Shout out to Gen Z. Let's go, baby. Come on. Bada boom. Shout out to Tony D dropping the goat in the chat with the eyeballs. Tony D, are you about to bring a goat into the studio by surprise? Please say yes. Please say yes. Please say yes. Guys, I promise you, at one day we will get a baby goat on the stream as a special guest. I promise you. But yeah, let's see. Shout out to Mr. 420. Said should use a stop loss so as not to take you out of the market. Shout out to Mr. 420. Yes, please, for the love of God, if you're out there trading, guys, use a stop loss. Do not blow up your account. Let's see. I always FOMO into shorts when I'm getting ready for the gym. Yo, shout out to Brian Hardy, bro. Shout out to Daniel said, Frankie, if we get that bigger move to the downside on BTC, does that mean that alt season will also be killed and all the gains of the alts will also fly away? Shout out to Daniel. I mean, listen, if Bitcoin gets to drop down, if we get the bigger retracement, you're very likely, in my opinion, unless we get like some kind of massive drop on dominance or something like that, chances are probably you'll have the altcoins pull back. I wouldn't say that it's like alt season canceled necessarily, and we're going to get to the alt charts in a second, guys. There's a lot of high time frame signals on the altcoins that I want you guys to be prepared, because again, as we enter this potentially final phase of the bull market, things could get started very quickly, and once they get going, guys, this is typically a short-lived part of the bull run. Although the most exciting, the most explosive, the most money to be made, it is, I always say this, you kind of want to shift from offense to defense, right? You want to get positioned so when you have those super aggressive moves to the upside, sorry about that, guys. When you get those aggressive moves to the upside, right? In this case, right, it could be the final stage of the bull market, which is going to be very likely short-lived, right? So you want to get positioned, right? Have that big move happen so you can be sitting there ready for targets to get hit and hopefully take some profit out of the market before we top out and everything goes to zero. And I'm not saying that like everything's over right now. Obviously, we are just on the cusp of having this start as far as alt season if it happens. But again, Bitcoin has been in a bull market. When we see Bitcoin, if Bitcoin flies up into the 130s, right, 140s potentially, this is probably where it's going to be all over the news. All the new people are going to think that the bull market is just getting started right now. But I want to be very clear about this. This bull market is not just getting started, right? At least for Bitcoin. Obviously, the opportunities on the altcoins are still very, very ripe, if you will, right? A lot of altcoins still pretty low from their pretty far away from their all-time highs. So just keep that in mind, right? Still a lot of opportunities here on altcoins. Just flicking through them to kind of show you guys how low some stuff is. But obviously, XRP making that new all-time high. Shout out to the XRP army. But, a lot of stuff still like pretty low here, right? So still plenty of opportunity, in my opinion, in the altcoins, assuming that we do get that blow off top into alt season. But just remember, it's like you might be running out of time here. I don't want to create FOMO. Again, at the end of the day, if Bitcoin goes down, and gets a massive dump out of nowhere, altcoins are probably going to follow. But, if everything tracks the way it's been so far and we see alt season happen, you want to get positioned and enjoy those gains so you're not like waiting for the perfect entry, right? And then you miss it, and then you're trying to get in at higher prices. You don't want to buy high and sell low, right? You want to buy low, sell high. Back to Bitcoin real quick. And again, for Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's obviously at all-time highs, right? This is expensive to buy Bitcoin, but plenty of opportunity in the altcoins. And when they start getting going, you don't want to be chasing those moves to the upside, in my opinion. So, and I'm going to show you like many reasons why we would be anticipating this. This is not me saying alt season guaranteed, but when you start to look at the charts and you start to weigh the possibilities, it starts to seem pretty likely, right? And I'll show you all the information. I'm not just saying this because I'm like blindly bullish or I'm a perma-bull or anything like that. There's actual information and data on the charts that we're watching. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at. So yeah, if we did get the pullback down here, obviously, altcoins could definitely follow, but I would not necessarily say that like alt season would be canceled necessarily because of that. You have to be patient, right? And I think anybody, looking at Ethereum out of anything can really show you that patience pays, right? We've been looking at Ethereum ever since we were down here at the lows. Everybody says Ethereum's dead. It's never going back up. But this is where we're looking at, and we're looking at this and saying, well, hey, if we approach this value area low and flip this to support, right, what do we know is coming next, right? Very likely, as long as we can stay inside the range, you're going to get that fulfill the volume profile. But you can see how fast this changes, right? It goes from very bearish, oh my God, it's dead, and then you get into the range and it's like, yay! And then on these rejections, it's like, of course, Ethereum just dumps instantly. Like, it's never going to new all-time highs. But what happens, right? You stay inside the range, and then you get to the value area high super, super fast, right? So it changes very, very quickly. And you want to be ready. Like we always say, even down here, no one's going to want Ethereum down here. Everyone's going to want to start talking about Ethereum when it's up here, right? But it's already too late. Right? I don't want to say you're not going to get any more gains out of Ethereum, but, again, it's just that you want to be able to see the stuff on the chart before you get up here, right? This is where everyone starts to get excited. You want to get excited when things are scary and you're potentially approaching your value area low for a fulfilled range. Remember that, because we're going to look at the altcoins and you're going to see a lot of stuff in a very similar situation tapping on their value area lows, which could be very bullish if we see a continuation to the upside. And the fact that Ethereum has already done this, Ethereum's the first mover of the altcoins, right? The mother of all altcoins. So if they're going to follow suit, a lot of them are in a very similar setup to what we had down here. So just understand that. So I guess we'll just jump into Ethereum. If you guys want to see your favorite altcoins, drop them in the chat. Let us know what you guys want to see. Rob, the Crypto Snob, is Rob here today. Let's see. If Rob is not here, Tony, if you can make the alt list, or Darren, if you can make the alt list, I would greatly appreciate that. Let me just check in on chat and see what you guys are thinking. Let's see. Shout out to Bison9 said, we'll see it. Sunday dumps. It's a bull market thing. Shout out to Bison. Yeah, and I would be viewing any dumps right now as bull market dumps for buying the dip and continuing up, just like we were looking at on the 75% dump down to 75K, 175K. I keep doing that. Let's see. Shout out to Vegas Claw. Vegas Claw just cracking everybody up in the chat. Let's go. Tyler Durden says alts. Shout out to Tyler Durden. Ain't no one got time for alts. Shout out to Tyler. Momentum gets killed because there's not enough retail to buy the pullback. Well, shout out to Danny. Yeah, I would argue, guys, and I've been saying this throughout this entire cycle on every big pop to the upside that we see. In my opinion, even on like all these big breaks up, we have not seen retail interest come in like we typically see in the euphoric stage and final stage of the bull market, right? Search terms are still super far down. Actually, Tony was telling me this the other day. He was looking at the search term analytics, and it's crazy, man. It's like the attention is just not here yet. But where does the attention typically come in? It comes in at the tops, right? So once we really start cooking here, that's where everyone's going to start getting interested. That's where all the retail comes in. But when retail comes in, us, OG crypto people are already positioned, already ready. Let the new people come in and, experience their first crypto bull market, which typically ends up in buying the top. But then once that retail comes in, that's where all that liquidity, hopefully we can get the rate cuts, right? The rate cuts will obviously help with this as well. That will flood a lot of money into the risk on assets, and, crypto's risk on, overall, but, the alts are even more risk on. So, we're right on time here. Ethereum getting the move up. Solana starting to move. XRP starting to move, right? And hopefully it can funnel down to some of these altcoins that we're going to talk about today. So that's what we're looking at. Honorable mention here as well. We did come down to this anchored VWAP where we're getting a bounce from on top of this, right? So not only was this a value area low, daily MPOC 786. I'm just saying this because I see it on the chart right here. We also had that anchored VWAP as well. So just a little bit more support there. So maybe we can get a little bounce here. I'm not going to lie. We did have some bullish CVD at the low. We had some local bullish divergences. So we'll see if we can get a little retracement to the upside. And hopefully, we could just get a surprising little rip back up to higher prices. But again, based off what we looked at before with the 12-hour red dot, the 45-minute money flow, you do have to be aware of those pullbacks coming in. All right, let's see. Shout out to Positively Hilarious. Says, Frankie, I love you, man. I won my first $200 because of you. Thanks, man. Shout out to Positively. Let's go, baby. That's why we're here. These are the chats that I like to see, guys. These are the chats that I like to see. This is why I come up here every single day. Shout out to Benjamin Call says, we are retail. Yes, 100% we are retail. We're not, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that like we're trading with the big boys. We're banks. But I would say we are like the smart retail, right? The SME-tail. Not just, I could say we're retail, but I wouldn't say we're dumb money. Shout out to Benjamin Calls. But yeah, 100%, right? We're retail still. But yeah. Let's see. Mr. 420 said, Frankie, tell us how to deal with market psychology. Shout out to Mr. 420. If you're talking about trying to control your emotions when you're in an investment or in a trade, this is something that, in my opinion, is trial by fire, right? The only way to really get your psychology under control is going to be experiencing those emotions, identifying them. You're never going to get rid of them. Humans are emotional creatures, right? So the goal is not to remove the emotion. It is to feel the emotion, identify it, and then act according to your plan and strategy, not the emotion. I am not impervious to emotion. Down here, good Lord, let me go ahead and put this on silent, guys. This thing is blowing up. But this is scary. Like, this is scary for a lot of people. Now, we anticipated this drop, so it wasn't as scary for me personally. But looking down here for a higher low to come in, I mean, I'm not gonna lie here, right? When you come down here, sure we had key support, sure we had bull divs with money flow coming up, sure we were looking at this level ever since February to hope for a higher low and a higher high. But as it's happening, it's like, oh my God, this thing feels like it's never going to go back up. Every rip gets slammed back down, ripped up, slammed back down. It feels like it's never going to stop. But what did we see here? We saw beautiful daily bullish divergences, lower lows on our price action, higher lows on our momentum waves into a key level, which is the 786, which is an area where you would look for a high, a higher low, and a higher high to come. That was our thesis. It did play out, but I'd be lying if I told you that, especially with how bearish the sentiment is down here, in a way that makes me extra bullish, because when people are super bearish, typically it is time to turn around. But, sometimes I sit there and I'm like, good Lord, man, I hope this plays out, because not that the TA can't be wrong sometimes, but, it does. I feel that too, man. It's impossible to get it out of your system completely. But, again, like, what do we, I don't just say like, oh my God, guys, never mind bullish signals, but this is scary, so I'm just going to say we're going down. No, we see the bullish signals, we stick to those bullish signals, and they do play out. Again, not 100% of the time, but, more often than not, especially understanding that, we didn't have rate cuts, we didn't have alt season here. There was a lot of reasons within the 4-year cycle to not expect a bear market here. And very similar to what we see here, this is going to make a lot of sense for you guys. What was another reason why we were not that worried down here? Well, you didn't break any macro structure, right? Like, a lot of people were saying, oh my God, crypto's officially in a bear market. We've gotten a 20% dump to the downside. I don't know what reality 20% dumps in crypto creates a bear market. It's just not true. If that was the case, we've had so many 20% pullbacks in bull markets. Like, you would have to call a bear market on every dip in a bull market, right? Which is not what you want to do. But why was I not scared here? We had a line in the sand, right? If we started breaking down below these structural highs, we started breaking into this volume profile. That's where it's like, hey guys, maybe this time is different, and maybe we're going into a bear market, which I would have had to call for if we started losing key levels down here. But we didn't see it, right? At the end of the day, you did not break macro structure. It is a clear bullish trend here. You have your lows, your highs, your higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. And if you want that higher low to come in, it's going to come in right here. It's not until you start breaking this structure where you start to get worried, which is why when we look at the current price action right now, we have a very similar thing here, but over more local price action, right? We got this beautiful break of the range. So if we come down here, it's okay to come test these highs, right? And what could we look for? Higher lows and higher highs, right? And you could even pull some Fibonacci retracements to see if you have any confluence. Look at that. You have a golden pocket and a 786 literally in that 112 to 110K zone. This would be an area where you would look for higher lows and higher highs, right? Once you start breaking back down below here, I wouldn't say it's as bearish as losing the level at 75K, but, at that point, you're going to be looking for a little bit more of a continuation, right? And we'll assess that situation if it happens. But it's the same theory here, right? You want to be able to hold on top of these highs, even if you have to retest them to continue up. And that's if you have to come down here, right? Maybe, again, in an aggressive bull market like this, a lot of times you just like to hold those higher lows, not take out the lows, and just continue up. So there you go. Hopefully that kind of makes sense to you guys. All right, let's see. Shout out to Ricky Ricardo, said Dave Portnoy sold XRP at 240, hit 360 just weeks later. Shout out to Ricky and Dave Portnoy. That's wild. Davey day trades. Let's see. Fetch.ai. Yeah, we could take a look at Fetch, because I said I was going to take a look at that yesterday, but we didn't have time. So I'm actually going to write that down as an honorable mention. FET. Let's see. ZBC. We could take a look at ZBC. Yeah, I saw a lot of people calling for that yesterday as well, so I'll take a look at that one as well. And then we do have the alt list pinned to the top of the chat, so we'll check those out as well. But let's go ahead and jump on into Ethereum real quick here, guys. Pull up the alt chart. Obviously, yesterday we had our alert set here at the value area high. We knew this was a high probability target to hit. And just to kind of bring you back in time a little bit here, guys, obviously, as I covered before, we look at this as the doorway to higher prices, not only on this approach here, anticipating a hold of the low, get above the POC, stay inside the range to fill the range in full. Finally, we have seen that happen. I know it sounds crazy when we talk about that as we approach or as we bing bong around. This is torturous. But again, once again, volume profiles prevail. And where are we sitting right now? Literally right at that macro target, which is the value area high. Absolutely beautiful. And hilariously enough, guys, we had that alert set last night. I ended the live stream literally, I would have to go down to like a 30-minute time frame, right? I ended the live stream at about 7:30, and then literally right after 7:30, boop, we come up and hit that target. So, of course, it couldn't happen on the live stream, but we did come down and tap that, or come up and tap that. Very, very beautiful. Major target for Ethereum here, obviously. Looking for this to get hit for months, right? And, on top of that, keep in mind this is resistance, right? within the profile, this is resistance. But looking at our 2-day money flow, looking at all the higher time frame bullish signals, I'm going to show you one very, very, very big bullish signal for Ethereum. And again, it doesn't mean that you have to take off on this candle right here, right? You could get pullbacks, but overall, I would anticipate higher lows for an eventual breakout into not only break these highs here, but hopefully break into new all-time highs. And, the local targets or the first targets I would look at if Ethereum goes into new all-time highs would be between about 5,800 to 7,300. That's where we have the Fibonacci extension levels. We'll obviously have plenty of time to talk about that unless this thing just Lambo candles up there. But at the end of the day, we are hitting resistance, so just be aware. You have that 2-day VWAP coming down. You do have the daily. Money flow is actually coming up, not too bad. No red dot yet. But you do see that VWAP. If I zoom in here enough, you can see the VWAP is rolling over. So just understand, right? We're at resistance. You could see turbulence. But again, especially in big trends like this, and just in general with where we are in the market, these even high time frame red dots like a 2-day is either just going to give you a pullback for a higher low and a higher high, or sometimes it just gives you like a little sticking point, right? You kind of just consolidate before taking off for your next leg. So just be careful, right? Could get the pullback. Key levels down below I would be looking at, overall, right? 27.77 is going to be a big daily MPOC that I'm looking at. This is a, this would also be to kind of come back down and retest these highs right here. Right, so it wouldn't be impossible, right? If we saw some kind of big pullback, I would not be thinking Ethereum's going to zero, right? Looking at that 27.77 daily MPOC in confluence with the structural highs right there. And if we start pulling some fibs, I will pull it from the impulse to the high. You can see you do have your 786 in confluence with that as well. So, some local support. I can't promise you're going to get a move all the way down there, but if you did get a significant retracement, this would be a big level to watch. Really wouldn't want to break below this 786 in my own personal opinion. Again, wouldn't mean bear market, no alt season or anything like that, but for now, right, if you did get a bigger retracement, this would be kind of brutal, to be honest, after seeing that big leg up, but this would be a key level of support where you could put in a higher low and then finally go for that breakout. Hopefully, we just kind of wiggle around up here and send it, though, but just to be aware of some of that local support, and then if we come on down to a lower time frame here, we can also pull from this impulse to the high. You also have another local golden pocket 786 between about 32.13 and about 3,087, right? So just some local levels to keep an eye on. Again, kind of hard to do any legit analysis on this as you've just kind of been mooning. You kind of have to wait for some structure. And obviously the most local level of support is the value area high. Could you just stick this as support and send it? Maybe. But I would just be aware of that 2-day red dot potentially incoming. So, always have to warn, right? When you hit a big target, it's nice, right? But it is also resistance. So, but again, in some cases, I'm like, oh my God, guys, massive resistance. Look for the massive dump. I would not, this would look like a massive dump, right? But it wouldn't be that alarming. Hopefully, we don't have to deal with this lower level, but it is there, right? Daily MPOC. It's the only, if I pull up on TradingView, daily MPOCs, maybe we have a new one potentially. Yeah, so you do also have a couple of other daily MPOCs that we can mark out here. So I will just grab this. Whoops. Right, so you have another one sitting right here at the top of this blue box, which is nice. So this is a daily MPOC. You also have one right here, and then you also have one. So you do have a bit of support down below, right? And then you have one right there. So yeah, closest daily MPOC sitting at 34.34, right? So that's just super hyper local. And then if you lose that, I'd probably be looking down towards about 31.68. Start losing that. You have much more significant confluence down here. But again, I can't promise that we're going to get that big drop. So be aware of the local support as well. But very nice to see Ethereum hitting this macro target. We're not crazy, guys. We're not crazy. See, it took long enough, but we're not crazy. All right, let's see. Yeah, shout out to Gen Z said, low retrace, big candles up. That is the hope. That is the hope. And they said ETH was dead. Shout out to Munge. Shout out to you, man. Yeah. Like I said, if you guys have been here for a long time, you will know down here. It's like, guys, no one's going to want Ethereum down here. Just keep in mind, I don't know how low people want Ethereum to go. This is an opportunity for sure. People are not going to get excited about Ethereum until it's back up in here. So there you go. You always get the early call-outs here on the Frankie Candles YouTube channel. Let's see. They said BTC was dead like 1,000 times. Yeah, shout out to Chris. Could have literally bought the all-time high on Bitcoin every single bull market, and you'd be in profit right now. So, yeah, it's you don't want to fade the most best asset in the world, in my opinion. We are crazy. Shout out to Diary of a Crypto Kid. Yeah, maybe we are crazy. Is this all just a dream? Yo, shout out to Brian Varney, said that I just see Diddy in the chat. Oh my God, hide your candles, everybody. Shout out to Brian Varney. All right, let's continue on here. Diddy in chat is crazy, bro. He says, guys, if we get 1,000 likes, everyone on the stream is invited to my party. Let's get it, and let's get freaky. Good Lord. Shouldn't have read that. But anyway, let's continue on. I took some ETH after your live at the time. Now we are rocking, Frankie. Shout out to Pose. Let's go, baby. Let's go. And again, never financial advice, guys. You know, I just like to show what we look at. And again, it's not just the volume profile. It's not just where we are in the cycle. It's also the fact that we've covered the 2-day money flow as we approach these value area lows many a times. Last time, we got up in the range. We filled it in full. And we even talked about how fast it could potentially happen. Same exact thing happened here, right? Fast move up equals fast move down equals fast move up equals fast move down equals break this high, fast move up, right? And it was in line with the 2-day money flow crossover, giving you that early signal all the way down here before that last push down where you would be looking for a higher low and a higher high based off your money flow. The money flow indicates the overall trend. Doesn't mean that you can't get the retracements, but on those scary retracements, you want to be aware. Money flow is starting to cross over into the green. I'm looking for higher lows and higher highs to target the value area high. Simply put, absolutely beautiful. So there you go. Another massive bullish sign on Ethereum. And again, this doesn't mean it has to play out tomorrow or the next day, but taking a look at Market Cypher B, guys, the weekly money flow has finally started to cross over into the green here, which could be a very good long-term signal for Ethereum. These weekly money flow crossovers, even on ETH, do not happen very often. They happen in bear market type conditions. Happened in 2022. You get the massive drop down. This is the bottom. As weekly money flow is in the red, you get the crossover again right here. At that point, what are you looking for? Well, hey, if the weekly money flow is crossing over into the green, then we can simply look for the continuation of the uptrend. You get a little retracement. You put in the higher low, the higher high, and then fill the range. Now, obviously, we're already through this range, but you can see we are just now starting to get that weekly money flow crossover. And obviously, if you measure back from the last money flow crossover that we had, obviously, this had been a, we'll say the crossover happened on this candle right here, right? Wound up getting 199% pump to the upside. So it does lead to massive trends up. Sure, you get pullbacks. Sure, you get pullbacks, but you do continue up. Very, very similar situation here for Ethereum. So even with pullbacks, we can potentially expect new highs to come. And yeah, I mean, just absolutely beautiful. There it is in all of its glory, guys. I have to zoom in quite a bit to see it. It is just starting there. There it is. Really got to zoom in, but there it is. Boop, right into the green. So yeah, and obviously this is a huge signal on Bitcoin as well, but we all know Bitcoin's money flow on the weekly has been in the green for quite some time, and the last time we got the crossover did indicate the start of the bull market, just like the crossover into the red indicates the continuation into the bear market. Very, very, very clean. All right, so there we go. That's Ethereum. Let's take a quick look at Solana, or Solonzo, as some of you guys like to call it, and as you know, let's take a look here. We'll pull up the 1 hour time frame. And as you guys know, obviously breaking above this 786 was our doorway to come in and retest our doorway to higher prices, which sits at the value area low at $183, right? This is something we've been looking at for quite some time. I never say this to brag, guys. I literally just say this because this is how the markets move. And if I'm going to give any kind of information out here, it's going to be the correct TA. And as you know, this is the doorway into that value area low, which is the bigger doorway to higher prices. Getting very exciting for Solana here. Even looking at that kind of wonky head and shoulders that we had. I don't really look at these as head and shoulders, but it is just somewhat of a bottom formation here. And we pulled that kind of measured move and bringing that to the breakout. Even before we approach the neckline, we were looking at this, right? You pull it to the breakout, and it does push you into this value area above, right? So obviously, if you're looking for that bigger breakout, if you're going to put in a lower high and a lower low, it has to come in at that 786. But based off the market conditions recently, obviously, you're just looking at that as the doorway to higher prices. And what happens? We come up, right? And we always talk about this, right? I'm going to take this off actually, I'm going to leave this for now. But, when you impulse out of a previous area of balance, where is price going to gravitate to? I went over this step by step yesterday, just showing you guys how the markets move, right? When you have a volume profile like this, when you impulse out, even here, you impulse out, where's price going to gravitate to? The previous area of balance. The value area low, when you're approaching from beneath it, is always going to be resistance until proven otherwise. You hit your head, we wound up getting the bigger correction, we put in the higher low on the golden pocket, low, high, higher low. Now we could potentially look for the break of structure to the upside. So as of right now, we've gotten above that 786. Your next kind of order of business is going to be cracking this value area low at 183.91. Look at the beautiful rejection, not only here, but also right here. Once we get above that and flip it to support, guys, all eyes on the POC at $216. This is what we've been looking for. We're just waiting for it to play out. I'm looking for it all the way since the value area low. We got in the full fill of this range, and now we are potentially breaking out, especially getting over that 786 is nice. We could play around with this, but eventually we will be looking to flip that value area low to support and then target 216.90 for a new high, right? Not a new all-time high, but a new high, cracking structure to the upside here. This makes sense based off market structure, based off of where we bounced from, right? Because if you're looking for a low, a high, a higher low, and then a higher high, where do you want to bounce from? That golden pocket is as good of a place that you can look. And that is where we got the bounce. So hopefully we can see this continue to play out. So there you go. Other than that, not too much to kind of break down here. Again, 2-day VWAP on Solana is not as close to the zero line as Ethereum. But again, you know, if we get that 2-day red dot, you could get a little more of a continuation down. But right now, I'd say the biggest key level is going to be the value area high at 166.66. Maybe you break out, retest the high, and then you can continue back up and get into your upper profile. If we break down back a little bit lower, we could cover some key levels of support at that point. But right now, I would say the value area high is your biggest level. All right, there we go. Let's see. Firestream, shout out to Superman socks. I'm actually wearing my Superman socks right now. Shout out to you, bro. Thank you for being here. Giga Longbottom said, "Hi, Daddy." Lip bite. Oh, God. That lip bite emoji is diabolical. Let's go. Shout out to CandleMafia's John Cena says, doorway to higher prices is near for Sol. And maybe we'll take a look at near in a minute as well. All right, let's continue on here. Let's take a look at the alt list here. All right, we got a bunch on the alt list here. We got Ondo, Dot, Pangu, Orcs, Solana, which we just went over. Syrup, yeah, I said I would take a look at that yesterday too, so I'll try to take a look at that. Obviously, guys, we're not going to be able to take a look at every single altcoin. I try to change it up every stream so we can get a rotation of a different bunch of different stuff. But the plus is the simple signals that I'm going to show you guys on a lot of the altcoins. I'm going to bring this up. It's popping up on a lot of stuff here. It's going to be very similar for a lot of the altcoins, so just keep that in mind. But Frankie, I'm scared. Shout out to Jesse. Don't be scared, Jesse. We're here with you, bro. The Vegas call said I wasn't here yesterday. Shout out to Vegas call. He was probably out in Vegas gambling, or maybe on the charts gambling. Let's see. Doge. Yeah, we'll try to take a look at Doge. Is render above its value area low yet? Yeah, I'm going to run through a lot of altcoins. I'm going to go a little shorter on the analysis. I'm not going to cover every single local key level, but I'm going to kind of show you guys the overall viewpoint for alts for me right now. And it will be very, very simple. It'll be based off market cipher and volume profiles, and it will give you a nice little long-term plan, right, for if we see this bigger continuation to the upside. And again, I do have to cover XRP, guys. Shout out to the XRP army. Finally, we came up to tap that Fibonacci extension level right here at $3.52, putting in that new all-time high, which seems like eons since we've done that, because, I mean, technically we broke it here, but, I mean, who cares about that, right? You know, it probably feels like eons because it literally has been eons, right? We actually measured this in the premium Discord from the 2017 all-time high to our all-time high that we put in just now, right? 2,700 days. I mean, that is talk about having patience, guys. You know, a lot of people buy in and they're like worried about these little pullbacks, and you know they're worried about waiting this long. Try waiting 2,700 days. That is the epitome of patience. Patience. But anyway. Let's take a look here. So obviously XRP did push into the extension level that we looked at. We are getting a little rejection from there. But again, guys, you know, at this point, right, like the real question is, are we just going to start, you know, just giga chatting to the upside, or are we going to get a little bit more of a pullback? At this point, I'm going to keep it nice and simple on XRP. If we get a pullback, I mean, you know, I'm not saying you have to come down here, but like even if we got a big drop down to retest the I mean, I don't know. I'll be honest, right? Like, as of right now, we are holding support on the previous all-time high, right? So, again, like, are you just going to continue up? It's definitely possible. My bags on XRP have been stacked forever, so I'm just long and chill on this. But even if you get the bigger pullback at this point, right, you have these 2 tap daily MPOCs at about 316. You could potentially flip those to support. But at this point, I'm probably just going to take these off the chart because they're already tapped. They're no longer naked. They're a little less important, in my opinion, the way I look at the charts. I'm going to keep this extension level on the chart as well, because if we come down and then we retest that as support, that could also be a support level to watch. But I will just pull up some new daily MPOCs here, see if we have anything interesting. So you do have a daily MPOC just underneath that previous all-time high, sitting at about 326, so I will mark that out. We also have another 2 sitting right down here, closer to about 295. And other ones are marked out already. Let's take a look at the weeklies. Do we have anything? Yeah, I mean, this is just still printing this candle, so we're not really going to have anything on the weekly or the monthly. But yeah, just some local levels to look at to the downside for XRP, right? Like, I mean, hopefully you hold the previous all-time high. Maybe you just have to retest that all-time high before sending it. If you do lose it, you do have a little bit of support there on the daily MPOC / previous all-time high. So this would be a pretty local support level between about 331 and 326. If you wind up losing that, I would simply be looking down. Understand you have the extension level here at about 314. Start losing that. We're looking down towards that MPOC zone. But at the end of the day, I'm not saying I would want to see this, but if we did get a pullback all the way back down to these range highs, like, this would be a big level to watch. You also have the anchored VWAP pulled from the bottom here in June, which currently sits at about 268. So if we get a bigger pullback, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But right now, these are the local levels that I would be looking at. Could even pull from this impulse to the high. Yeah, you got a little confluence here on your daily MPOCs. So I would just say locally, this is a little bit messy just because we're in this random, just rip to the upside. But I would just say these are some local levels, right? Like, and these are hyper local. 331 to 326, golden pocket, fib extension confluence. Again, not the strongest confluence in my opinion. I would like the 786 daily MPOC a bit better. But this is there at 314 to 309. Break down below that, I would probably make this a zone between about 299 and 286. Once you lose that, in my opinion, if you do come down, you'll have that anchored VWAP coming up, which would be nice confluence. But if you break down below that, value area high at about 260 is your big level that you don't want to lose. So there you go. That's what we're looking at on XRP. Shout out to the Candle Mafia. Well, shout out to the Candle Mafia, but shout out to the XRP Mafia. Let's go, baby. We made it. We made it. I mean, it's only a little all-time high, but we made it, guys. Patience is rewarded. Let's see. Frankie, please tell me Supra has bottomed. We could try to take a look at Supra. We got a ton of altcoins. The altcoin requests have been crazy lately as the market is moving, so it's hard to get to all of them. Let's see. I like tonight's stream. Shout out to Denevo. I think that says Denevo 18. Shout out to you, bro. Let's go. If you have not smashed that like button yet, please, for the love of God, go ahead and tap that thing. Touch it with your butt. Touch it with your elbow. Headbutt it. We don't care. We don't judge. Creepily fondle it. We don't care what you do. We're not looking. Just make sure you tap it. Let's see. Asked Grok today when BTC was going to pass 250K in one word, and it said November. Yo, that is like almost, what's the word I'm looking for? Not diabolical. I don't know the word I'm looking for. But cryptic. Very cryptic. It's just like November. But one thing I will say on Bitcoin, guys, before we jump into more of the alts, I'm going to run through like a quick list of altcoins, just going over the longer term kind of scenario that a lot of these coins are in. But looking at Bitcoin, guys, I was talking to the premium Discord. When we pull a, I'm going to pull something here, right? We looked at this on the live stream not too long ago. But I'm just gonna say this again. This is based off of our trend-based fib time. Again, this doesn't guarantee that this is when the top will come in. But if we pull from the bottom of the 2018 bear market, which I believe is that red candle right there, to the top of 2021, which is the green candle right there, to bottom of the bear market, I just pull it from here to here. Whoops. Get it as accurate as possible. And again, this is somewhat speculative, but I will say if I were to keep an eye on any dates, I would have to base it off of something on the charts, right? I'm not just someone who's like, oh, this played out in the past. I'm going to watch this date. Although that could be close. I will say this fib level right here, right? This time-based fib level right here at about October 20th of this year. These are typically big turning points in the market. There's no way to really tell, oh my God, if you cross this level, we're going to pump, right? Or if we cross this level, we're going to pump or dump, right? There's no way. These are just typically based off time, areas where price will get big moves in the market. And you can see, you get the big move, you consolidate. Once you hit this level, right, you get another big move up, you consolidate, you hit this level, big move down, come back up, right? So I will say October 20th is a date I'm paying attention to. Doesn't mean that it has to end on that date. I would say personally, depending on how high we get, it would be probably a good time to start looking for a potential top to come in. Again, October 20th is going to be around that date. It's never to, perfectly to the day, but depending on how high we get, this is something I'm going to look at. Right now, this might not just mark where the top comes in, but it could also mark out acceleration. But if we're looking at the 4-year cycle, it would make a lot of sense for this thing if we start getting exciting in the next until October, right? Rate cuts come in either this month or next month. Things start to go parabolic. Bitcoin's hitting the new all-time high. Altcoins are exploding. This might be a time to look at for a potential turn in the market. And again, I'm not saying the top has to come in here, but I'm just saying that's a date that I'm going to be looking at. I like to share it with the Mafia. So there you go. Little sauce there for you. All right, let's see. Thank you for your time, Frankie. And thank you, Mrs. Candles, as well. Shout out to your broker, Jamie. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to Mrs. Candles. She allows me to be up here. I'm just kidding. She's happy with me doing this. Let's see. She's just like, yeah, just keep that crypto going, bro. Just keep trading. Give me the card, and we're good. You do whatever you want. Every time I'm on the live stream, she's just at the mall blowing money. I'm just kidding. Mrs. Candle's very not materialistic, luckily. But anyway, October's the month to look at. Shout out to Nico. That's what I'm saying. And not just based off, I'm sure a lot of people are looking at just based off of how things have played out in the past, but there is a technical reason to look at that level on the chart as well. Ghost Rider says agreed. Date noted. Time to dump everything on October 19th at 11:58 p.m. Shout out to You Grow, I Grow. Let's go. Shout out to Crypto Billy in the chat. What is going on, man? Welcome in. Good to see you in here, Billy. Hope you're doing well. And Billy, how about these pumps, baby? Let's go. She's the best. Shout out to Jess Reeves. But let's continue on here. I do want to walk you guys through this. Obviously, as I said, if we are entering the final phase of the bull market, there's going to be opportunities in altcoins. Before we take a look at the altcoins, guys, we got to check in on the Bitcoin dominance. I mean, guys, this is what we want to see. This is what we want to see, right? We got that push into the 786. We had to wait a long time. A lot of people didn't think it would go this high, but we were just paying attention to the charts, right? We came up to that 786. Once we got this first drop to the downside, this is where we were saying this is a better opportunity than any to start seeing Bitcoin dominance break down, not just based off the dominance chart, but based off many other things. And, obviously at this point, we started to have the 2-day money flow crossovers very early in their very early in their crossovers on the alts, right? Specifically like Ethereum. Let's see, July 11th, 2025. Let's pull up July 11th, 2025, right? July 11th. Here we are. We start to get that pullback. The 2-day money flow crossover is already in the green here, looking for continuations up on ETH anyway. And then that dump down on Bitcoin dominance was just the chef's kiss there. We knew we had the POC down here. We got a little bit of a bounce, but we knew, right? Once you lose that point of control, guys, we look at these levels for a reason. These are not just magic lines on the chart. There are reasons why we look that if you break this POC, that you could see a massive drop on dominance, targeting the value area low of the range. Where are we on our way to, right? We've already come back to backtest the top of this golden pocket, but the next key level of support, in my opinion, is going to be the value area low, sitting at about 60.95%. I mean, this is what we want to see, guys. We talked about, and it's so validating, right? Because we talked about how, we're not going to be expecting massive dumps on dominance as we pushed up here in February because we're flipping the value area low to support. What are you going to be anticipating at that point? The POC to get hit. Right? And then you get a little dump, and then you push back up above the POC, and we had that 786 sitting here. We front ran it slightly, and now we're finally starting to see that drop, avoiding any false calls for bull markets on altcoins. Right? You just wait for the key level. Sure, we didn't tap it perfectly, but that's as close as you can get. And once we lose that POC, we know we're probably going down towards that value area low. This is big. This is big on dominance, guys, because if we wind up, and there's an even bigger signal here as well, if we come down to this value area low, could we bing bong around? Sure. Right? Is it going to give pullbacks on altcoins? Potentially. But with our daily money flow crossing over into the red, guys, this is all looking pretty decent. It's not that we can't retrace here and have turbulence, but if this money flow stays in the red, we can anticipate lower highs and lower lows. And on a time frame like the daily, typically those downtrends are pretty strong, right? So if we can get that money flow to stay in the red on the daily and we get lower highs and lower lows and we start losing this value area low, just like this POC was the first level to look out for a first big drop on dominance, is value area low is going to be the next level. Daily money flow stays in the red. We're hoping to lose this value area low and really start to get this dominance to dump to the downside, which would support an alt season coming in. It's an if this, then that, right? If this thing shoots up to 1,000,000%, whatever it is, obviously it's not going to happen. But with everything lining up here, rate cuts, the macroeconomic cycle, all the traditional financial markets making new all-time highs. We could take a look at the Russell 2000 as well. Many, many things pointing towards all this coming into play in the perfect timing ever. I swear, guys, I'll be honest, it's almost too perfect, right? It almost makes me a little suspicious where it's like, man, really? Is this all just going to play out like that? Like we just like, oh, it's just like crypto just moves in these cycles, or not even crypto, just like the macro, there's all markets in general move together. This has been proven over time. We've shown this a million times that, Bitcoin basically just follows traditional finance. It's why we look at the SPY, the NQ, NVIDIA making new all-time highs, Coinbase stock making new all-time highs to front run the new all-time high on Bitcoin. It's just like, it's almost like we're in a simulation. It makes me think like, is it going to be that obvious? And the answer is probably not, right? There's probably going to be some kind of like a hiccup in here that scares you or spooks you. But just to show this daily money flow, guys, very similar situation to what had happened in the past. You lose the POC, massive drop to the value area low, you bing bong around, but with your daily money flow in the red, what happens, right? You get the lower highs and lower lows for the eventual breakdown out of that range for a beautiful alt season to come in. That's the hope, right? And that's what I'm going to be looking at personally. Now, taking a look at some of the altcoins. Let's run through it, guys. I have a nice clean chart here. We were talking about NVIDIA on the premium live stream today. Obviously, even just the macroeconomic cycles, guys. These big giant dumps, especially on the stock market, right? Like this is a rigged game, right? This is it's basically a scam. Right? It's like any of these giant dumps on, like if there's one bet to make ever, it's that if you see massive dumps on the stock market, you should probably buy the dip, because even if the economy is doing terrible, they're just going to turn the money printer on and melt it back to the upside. Right? And then you have more of like a healthy bear market here before rising up. And then this is very similar to the 2020 dump that we had back down here. V-shaped recovery, absolute melt to the upside. V-shaped recovery, absolute melt to the upside. I mean, it's almost too obvious, which makes me a little bit cautious. But here we are, right? It's played out so far. So when we take a look at some of the altcoins, guys, again, I know it feels like, you might feel like you missed the boat on Bitcoin. You might feel like you missed the boat on Ethereum, which hopefully if you watch this channel, shout out to Pose. Hopefully you didn't, because obviously we see these signals on the chart before they move or before price moves. But when we look at the altcoins here, there is still a ton of opportunity here on the altcoins, right? And I'm going to show you in the context of the volume profiles. Now, obviously, Dogecoin already above its value area low. So at this point, you could be looking at this as well. Hey, we're on that value area low. As long as we can stay in this range, you could look for the fulfill the profile. This has gotten a bit of a move up. We are still, for what it's worth, give me the dang percentage here, right? From where we are right now, we're still about 220% off the all-time high. So, you still have some room there on Dogecoin. I'm just going to run through these really quickly, and I'll dive a little deeper into some of them. But coming on down here to Cardano, right? Cardano is still pretty low. And again, I'm going to show you the context of like what I'm looking at here and why I feel so good. Fartcoin just still kind of chilling down here. Ondo still pretty low. Virtual still pretty low, right? Tau. TARS, whoops, still pretty low here, right? And at the end of the day, guys, if this stuff starts to get going, it's going to be very fast, right? And it's going to be very fast, and it's probably going to be very short-lived. If you've ever been through an alt season, they happen at the end of the cycles, and they don't last for very long. It feels like it's like an endless bull market, but it really isn't that long, right? So just be aware of this. And, when we see altcoins sitting down here, I'm not going to lie, this is not financial advice, but for me personally, any altcoins that I'm looking to maybe either get into or average down my price, because obviously a lot of altcoins have gotten big dumps, I'm not going to sit here and this is not financial advice. I'm not trying to create FOMO, but, I don't know how much lower this thing's going to go, right? Like, at this point, right, unless we get some kind of like crazy shocker dump here, at this point, even just looking at INJ here, what's going on? We are reapproaching the value area low of the range. This is our local next major volume profile. This isn't even like, this is our next major volume profile. We're approaching the value area low. This is the doorway to higher prices. I want to be very clear here, guys. When we look at these doorways to higher prices, these are typically what we see broken before we see massive moves up. This is exactly what happened last time we had the dump down in dominance in 2024, where we had these pretty significant rips to the upside, right? It was basically just for something like Polkadot, right? Just for example, you have your bear market range, right? And in 2023, 2024, deviate below the low, back up to the high, right? Back down in 2024. This was the most recent kind of like fake out alt season that we had. We deviated below the low. Once we reapproached, right, you hit your head, and it's never going to be up in a straight line, you know, immediately, right? But you hit your head, and eventually, even if you were like entering here, right, you go for one more low, and once you get into this volume profile, you fill the range in full. Get back in, fill it in full. We are now once again below this volume profile, tapping on the door, tapping on the door. So just be aware, if we flip these levels, guys, not just with the volume profiles, but also looking at our money flow. 2-day money flow crossover into the green. This is also what we've seen on every other rotation. Money flow crossover into the green, full rotation of the high to the high. Money flow crossover into the green. We had already made it through most of the profile, but it pushed us up into the high and then even above it. So we're seeing all this stuff line up again. Right? 2-day money flow crossovers, reapproaching the doorway to higher prices. Will it repeat? I would say there's probably a decent probability of that, right? So, and again, keeping in mind the cycle, the macroeconomics, the potential rate cuts, all this stuff is lining up. I'm going to be honest, right? Like looking at these altcoins, almost every altcoin is, if not re-entering its bear market range to potentially go to the high, like a lot of them are, we'll take a look at Pangu. Pangu's already rotated through a lot of its profile, but like a lot of this stuff, even SEI, right, breaking above that macro profile, you know, the chances, you know, could you get turbulence? Sure, right? But once you hold this as support, right, it's probably going to get started very quickly, especially seeing Ethereum fill its range, right? And if you think your altcoin is dead, right, just think about all the people who thought ETH was dead before the massive rip up, right? You have to be like a forward thinker, right? So, you know, warning. We're approaching the doorways to higher prices, if not breaking above them on a lot of these coins. But it's still early for a decent bit of them, right? A lot of them are not in them yet. And even this for SEI, right? You've just broken in, right? You don't want to wind up chasing price after it's already ripped up, right? You want to be, again, forward thinking here. You impulse out of this range. Where's price going to gravitate to? The previous area of balance. Where is that? It's sitting right up here. Get back into the range. Fill the range. And this is how I'm viewing a lot of the altcoins, right? Taking a look at Render. Where's it at? Render. Tapping the door. Tapping on the door. Doesn't mean you can't reject it. But again, it's like, you know, unless you think this stuff is going to absolute zero, it's like, you know, 2-day money flow crossing into the green. Another very, very bullish sign on a lot of these charts. You know, short-term pullback, sure. I'm okay with that. But you have your 2-day money flow. Crossed over into the green. This is exactly what ETH looked like as we were inside of our volume profile approaching that low. So even on the pullbacks, lackluster retracements, higher lows, higher highs. Once you reclaim, that's probably where it's going to start getting very exciting. That's where you see those, oh my God, it's ripping. What is going on? Right? Well, you could just say you're inside the profile, probably going up towards the POC, which is confluent with the golden pocket 786. Flip the 786 POC, go to the high. Woo! Not going to lie, guys. I'm not going to lie. We're here. I mean, I can't promise you it's going to pump, but what I can say is the writing is on the wall, and if there is any environment to get big rips up on this stuff, I mean, there's no better environment than this right now. It doesn't mean long it right now and then get mad if you get liquidated on a correction, right? Again, this is for long-term analysis, right? This is a longer time frame. This could take a little bit of time. We still have some time for rate cuts. If we don't get them in July, you still have another month till September. It's like there's time for this stuff to bing bong around. But, you know, I'm just going to make the early assessment here. Knocking on the door. These altcoins are knocking on the door. Mana, very, very similar. I was just talking about this with the premium Discord. Same thing. Tapping on the door. Tapping on the door. And you already have your low, your high, or low. Could you look for a break of the structure to the upside? I would say that's plausible. And once you get into that value area low, that would also agree with it. All right? Because if you're going to put in the low, high, higher low, higher high, get inside the value area high, push into the POC, well, hey, you're probably breaking structure to the upside. Hold the POC, get the big move up. But again, price, if we're going to get those pumps, price is not going to stay down here forever, right? And for me personally, on my spot bags, right, like I'm okay dropping some DCA bots, turning some DCA bots on, because for me personally, I don't care if we come down a little bit more, right? Because if my longer-term sentiment is correct, I don't mind averaging in on the way down. I would rather get an entry in case this does just take off randomly. I would rather get some kind of entries, right, or lower my average entry on the coins I already hold before the big move up, So there we go. Let's see. The Secret of Mana. Best video game for SNES. Shout out to Vegas Claw. I don't think I've ever played that. Let's see. Forever Young. Shout out to Titan R. Let's go, baby. Yeah, Dominance drops 4%. BTC, ETH drop $100. Alt still tumbling. Shout out to 12 Big. I don't know exactly what that means. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Lucas. Said, Frankie, can you explain why we can look at fib levels? I love this question. Even on Bitcoin dominance, I get it on crypto indexes, stocks, stock trading, but dominance is a percentage. I don't understand. Shout out to Luca. So I used to get this a lot. I haven't heard that question in a while. I bring up the point sometimes. I used to get this all the time. People would be like we would use a volume profile or a Fibonacci retracement on the DXY, and people are just like, dude, you're a moron. You can't use this. You can't use those tools on a DXY. People will say it on Bitcoin dominance as well. It's like, well, hey, you can't do that on a dominance chart. It's not a price chart, right? Well, here's the thing. I can't really explain like the nitty gritty of like the back end of why it actually works, but at the end of the day, it works, right? And I said this when people would say it on the DXY, like, you can't do that on the DXY, and I'm like, I mean, listen, either it works or I am literally the luckiest person in the world, and either way, I'm either going to continue to be the luckiest person in the world or it's going to stop working. But here, like you could see here, the golden pocket retracement that we looked at here, and this is pulled just to kind of show you, right? This is pulled from the high to the low. This golden pocket is major resistance. I just look at the candlesticks, right? And like, I kind of get what they're saying, but at the end of the day, what happens? We come up to that golden pocket. We know it's going to be major resistance. We saw some other bearish signals, and we started to look at some altcoins that were looking very bullish. When was this happening? November of 2024. We were looking for the drop in dominance, also pairing that with bullish signs on the altcoin charts in November of 2024, obviously starting to see those moves to the upside. So when we look at Bitcoin dominance and we know that there's a macro golden pocket here, and as we approach, we could start to see a little bit of a drop for altcoins to pump. I can't really explain exactly why it works, but it 100% does. Even the volume profiles, like a lot of people will be like, how would that work? I kind of understand why the volume profiles wouldn't work even more. But at the end of the day, I use this analysis to understand that the chances of an alt season in February were very slim. Because if we reclaimed this value area low, we were very likely going to that POC, and you could see this shot right up to that POC. I can't explain to you exactly why it doesn't work, or I can't explain to you exactly why it works, but it 100% works, right? And even the 786 got front run slightly, but this was that big level we were looking at. What happens? Massive drop on dominance. So my answer to that question is I can't really explain it in full detail, but what I will say is it 100% works, and I will continue to do it until it stops working, right? Like, at the end of the day, if you ask your dog to pick a hand, and whatever hand he touches first is, you have an altcoin, hey, Spot, pick a hand, and he taps this hand, you're like, all right, I'm going to buy this altcoin. If you're making money doing that, keep doing it, right? So yeah, I just don't really... I'm sure like a lot of like nitpicky people will be like, you can't do that. But I mean, if it works, I'm going to keep doing it. And that's why I always tell people I don't trade patterns. I never would really just trade patterns alone. I've tried to do it in the past. It's not as successful as you would think. But if someone came up to me and said, all I do is trade patterns, I don't look at Fibonacci, RSI, nothing like that. I just trade patterns and I make money. Then keep doing that, dude. I'm not going to try to talk you out of it. If you're making money, keep doing it, right? People say that with spider lines too. Oh, spider lines are just random trend lines. It's like, sure, but they're undeniably respected, right? You take a look at the spider lines, it's like, yeah, sure, like you're pulling these random trend lines from specific points in the market, but when you look at it, and I mean, it's undoubtedly respected support and resistance. I got to come back into log, right? Like undeniably, resistance, breakthrough, resistance, flip it to support, resistance, right? So it's like until it stops working, I don't really dig that deep, right? If it works, it works. So there you go. So yeah, I can't really answer the question, unfortunately, but for sure, we'll keep doing it until it stops working. So there you go. Great question. Shout out to Jan, bro. It's crazy. Oh God, I'm not gonna read that out loud, but that is crazy. Let's see. Agree with that. Yeah, shout out to Shara. Bada boom, bada bing. Am I late? Shout out to Soul Circuit. Just a little bit. It's okay, bro. That's okay. You can always scrub back. All right, so let's continue on here. Like I said, guys, running through the rest of those altcoins, just understand a lot of these altcoins. I'm going to go into the actual list and do deeper analysis, but just like, again, render. And I just see this like with my eyes, right? I don't even really have to pull the profiles. I know that value area low is probably sitting somewhere right there. Once we break above that, right, in a very simple manner, these fills can come very quickly and have come very quickly in the past. And, I know this seems very, like, perma-bullish, so I will cover, like, the bearish case, I guess. Bearish case is you, like, mega nuke from the value area low into a massive bear market. There's no alt season. I can't say that's impossible, right? But that's just not the camp that I fall into. And the last camp that we didn't fall in was that this was the bear market, and we wound up being correct about that, right? So maybe we're wrong this time, but I'm going to stick with what works. So there you go. All right, so let's dive a little deeper into some of these altcoins. Let's take a look at Orcs. Oh, man, we're not going to be able to really... Yeah. I'm going to skip this one just because I don't even know if this is the right thing. But this chart is going to be very hard to look at. Yeah, really all I can do here is, I could pull a fib real quick. High to the low. You're losing that 786. Yeah, it's just not I can't even really look at the weekly. There's a little bit of information there. I'll come back to this one because this is going to take a little bit of time to pull up MPOCs and all that. So I'll come back to Orcs. We took a look at Solana. Let's take a quick look at Pengu. As you guys know, we've been looking at Pengu recently. Let's take a look here. So let me just get my bearings. All right. Okay, so for Pengu, right, zoomed out, obviously this thing got, mega nuked to the floor, right? Crazy. I remember so many people, this was, super popular on social media. Everyone was talking about this, and they weren't even really, I would agree with their analysis long-term, but the timing of it was just terrible. This stuff was getting shilled like crazy, and it literally just, pretty much went to zero. But it has come back in a very big way. I actually like Pengu as a project. They're doing huge things. So I actually do like this, but very nice to see it recover so strongly. Very, very nice. But at the end of the day, right, you're always going to be looking at that value area. And the only one we had here on Pengu was up from this local price action. So we knew, right, once you continued up there, this value area low is your doorway to higher prices, AKA first step being the POC of the range. You get back in, you bing bong around, and you wind up pushing into the POC. We start getting resistance at the POC. That's totally expected. I'm actually going to hide this bigger level of support at the end of the day. Could you come down here? This is still going to be the biggest key level of support if we get a bigger pullback. You're going to want to hold this golden pocket 786 value area low. The idea here is that you definitely want to stay inside the range. Right, so if you did get a bigger pullback here, right, I wouldn't be that upset about coming back down there. But you don't really want to lose that 786 in my own personal opinion, right? You do have a weekly MPOC sitting at about 0.0231. But you're inside your profile, so I'm just going to hide this for now, right? We'll cross that bridge if we get there. This zone does sit, if you want to get it on your chart, between about 0.027 and 0.025. But locally, if we pull up, right, we've been more recently looking at this daily MPOC 786 golden pocket. This is from the local low to the high. We got in the rejection from the POC. At this point, right, this daily MPOC 786 confluence, if you want an aggressive continuation up, this is the level to hold. Once you lose this, you're probably coming back down towards that value area low zone. So if you want this thing to break above the POC and go to the high sooner than later, this is the level you don't want to lose. Once you lose this, I would for sure be looking back down towards that value area low. And it is nice that we have tested. We got it test once. We tested it twice. I would start being suspicious if you come down a third time, right? Typically, the more times you knock on the door, the more likely it is to open, and the door in this case is the door to the value area low. But if you do continue up, key resistance obviously stays at 0.03373 at the POC. If you could flip that, you would simply look for the continuation up through the profile for a full fill. Money flow, market cipher, all looks the same on a lot of this stuff. 2-day money flow crossover into the green is bullish for the long-term continuation. So even if you did get the bigger pullback, you would be looking, if this 2-day red dot pulls you back more, I'd still be looking for higher lows and higher highs, regardless of how scary that drop might be, right? Now, obviously, if you really get a super strong dump, you're not going to be bullish forever, right? So, but locally, I would say, value area low is the big, big level. With those Fibonacci retracement zone, confluent at about 0.026 at the value area low. So hopefully, if you get the bigger pullback, you can just stay inside the profile, go back up to the POC and the high. If you lose it, you do have the MPOC sitting here at 0.023. There you go. That's what I would look at. And another bullish sign here on a lot of the altcoins, guys, and this is actually popping up on Cardano, as well as many other things as well, right? It's not just the 2-day money flow crossover. It is also, right, the daily money flow crossovers that we're getting on a lot of stuff. Cardano just printed the daily money flow crossover. The daily money flow, what is 16 times the daily time frame? 16 days, right? So what is the 16-day time frame? Well, it's pretty much the 2-week, right? And what do we have here? We have a 2-week green dot with a daily money flow crossover into the green. This is a very high time frame. Market cipher B, 1/16th, bullish setup. I'm going to leave that there. 2-day money flow crossover, good for the overall continuation. Yes. Could you get pullbacks with the 2-day red dot? Yes, but the overall continuation is to the upside, but you also have that daily money flow crossover into the green. This is the same thing that we look at when we look at the 16-hour red dots with the 1-hour money flow crossovers into the red to continue moves down. This would be a very high time frame market cipher B bullish setup. So any pullback at this point is still going to be looked at as higher lows and higher highs. So there you go. Value area high on Cardano sitting at about 97 cents, which is also the value area low. Again, that same kind of setup where we are approaching. I'll even take these off the chart, right? It's like we are approaching these major doorways to higher prices. If a Cardano can break back above, say, 98 cents, flip it to support, the fill of this range up to about $1.85 would be the next thing to look for. POC sits at about $1.22. Not too shabby. Let's see. Shout out to Banuta. Shout out to you, man. Says, Frankie, thank you for showing me the volume profiles. Let's go, bro. I assume they're working out well for you. So shout out to you, man. I appreciate you saying that because it makes us feel really good about what we do here, helping people understand how this market moves, and not just listening to crazy price predictions. Or hopefully we've helped some people get better entries or stop you from getting a really bad entry. And the volume profiles are definitely a foundational tool that you should know when looking at the charts. And we teach it every single weekday right here for free at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Smash that dang like button, baby. Let's see. Shout out to Bullish on Parade. Said, Frankie, I have 2 questions. Why am I day drinking? And where are my pants? Shout out to Bullish on Parade. Let's go. That's crazy. Shout out to you, man. Well, have fun. Be safe, please. If you're out there day drinking, please be safe, bro. Let's see. Shout out to 12 Big. Said these bounces are getting eaten up by sells. Yeah, I mean, like I said, right, you don't have to just go up in a straight line, right? Like, I don't want to make this sound like you have to take off directly from here. But again, overall, right, if you start to get the pullbacks, right, you could still be looking for higher lows and higher highs. You might have a little bit more working out to do here before getting the big moves. But a high time frame, right? Like, even look at Ethereum, right? We'll just bring back another example here. I guess not really a great example here. Actually, I guess Ethereum's not the greatest example specifically, but like even here, right? Like if we approach this value area low, I would be saying the same thing. It's like, well, hey guys, what do we have going on here? It's like we're tapping the value area low. If we reclaim this, you could fill the volume profile. It's very hard to call the exact timing, but resistance until proven otherwise. Once you flip it to support, that's where you're looking for the full fill of the range. So you can still hit your head here and get pullbacks on the altcoins. So keep that in mind. But again, the overall anticipation, right, based off your higher time frames, is going to be higher lows and higher highs. And this is, I don't remember, been live for like hours today in the premium, but what happens? You have the weekly money flow crossover into the green, and it's like, well, hey, if we get above here, flip it to support, you could fill the range. But what happens, right? You get the weekly red dot, you get a big pullback, but what is the overall context there? If weekly money flow would cross over into the green, and specifically with a weekly money flow crossover, these are big, big, big signals. At that point, sure, you fake back out into the red, and then you come back into the green, fake out into the red. But for the most part, typically when you get those money flow crossovers on the weekly, the bottom is in, right? So at that point, right, you're saying to yourself, well, hey, we're approaching, money flows in the green. If we do pull back, are we going to be looking for a massive dump or higher lows and higher highs? And if we are looking for higher lows and higher highs, where are we going to look? We're going to look right at that golden pocket 786 retracement. Right? So you're saying to yourself, I'm approaching a doorway to higher prices. I know I don't have to break in there right this second, but at this point, with the high time frame money flow crossing into the green, or at least starting to play around in the green, you could start to entertain the idea of higher lows and higher highs. And then you have those Fibonacci retracement zones to look for those higher highs or higher lows and higher highs. And what happens? You put the higher low, higher high, get into the range and fill it. So again, you could see something like this if we get more turbulence on the altcoins. Like I said, this is not just a buy signal just because I feel bullish on them. I'm fully aware of the kind of bing bong around that you can have, right? It could still get pullbacks, but I don't know. At this point in the market, unless we don't get rate cuts or like they delay them or something, that could be very, very bearish, right? But until that happens, this would be my outlook, right? So hopefully that helps you out. Shout out to 12. Let's see. Shout out to Steve Livingston. Thank you for the super chat, bro. He says, after Clarity and Genius Act voted in, a maturity list was posted. You think this list will increase institutional money in Dino coins like ETH Classic? Potentially. And I kind of always say this, right? When it comes to stuff like this, show me the charts, right? Like this is just generally how I trade. I'm like a 99% technical trader. So I'm always going to want to see the chart. I really don't care what goes on. It's not that it doesn't matter, right? But it doesn't matter for the way that I invest or the way that I trade, because at the end of the day, when you see stuff like this, typically the signs are on the chart first. And could it? Yes, potentially. I can't guarantee that. But yeah, it's like even with, that's why you don't want to get stuck in like the fundamental narratives when you get up into massive new all-time highs, especially for something like Bitcoin. It's like, this is where you start to see people call for like, yeah, but you don't get it. We have all these bullish fundamentals that have never been the case. This is the golden bull run. It's never going back down. And this is what happens every single cycle, right? But if the chart says down, right, typically almost every single macro top that we've had in any cycle has come in off some like macro bullish news, right? So for me personally, it's not that any bullish fundamental news or anything, any developments that you have that is bullish fundamentally, it's not that it doesn't make a difference. It's just that it doesn't always represent itself in the immediate price action, right? Typically, a lot of times you have to sell the news event, right? It doesn't mean, right? For example, look at the Bitcoin ETF, right? We had that push up, and although this is a little bit of a mild example, it's like everyone is like, oh my God, we're never going to see 40K ever again because this is so bullish fundamentally, right? But it doesn't represent itself immediately, right? Obviously, you wind up getting a pretty significant pullback here of about 20%. And then people start to get scared, and it's like, what happened? Well, it was a sell the news event. Not that it's not bullish long term, but it's not always immediately exemplified in the charts. So yeah, it's not something I would trade based off of. But yeah, it could potentially increase the institutional money into the Dino coins. Who knows, right? It's just not something that I pay as much attention to. Other than show me the charts, right? That's kind of what I always say. But shout out to Steve. Let me see. That's a great question. Let's see, maybe a little Ondo. Yeah, we have Ondo on the list. I'll take a look at Ondo next. Shout out to Sharika. I'm sure you meant to put something in that super chat. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for the super chat. I can't see anything. It doesn't say anything, but shout out to you, man. Thank you so much. And Vegas Claw, thank you for the super chat. Says, Frankie J. Violet says she needs calves. All right, we'll show some calf, and then we'll pull up Ondo. Show some calf, guys. I think I'm probably going to have to start working my calves out again. I think they might be deflating a little bit, but the bull market will pump them back up. Let me pull down those shorts. I'm not trying to show high thigh here. Show a little bit of, hey, hang on. Do I have my, okay, I don't have my pink socks on, so. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, spank them. Oh, God, I almost said, spank the calves, baby. Let's pump this thing to $1 million. All right, let's continue on here. Z-Sync, I will try to take a look at Z-Sync. Like I said in the beginning of the stream, I'm going to try to take a look. Okay, I'm not going to write down Z-Sync because I lost my pen. I'm too erratic on live stream. Oh, my God. What's going on? But anyway, continuing on here. We'll try to take a look at Z-Sync. I'm going to try to take a look at as many alts as I can. I just spawned my pen somehow. I don't know how that happened. All right. But let's jump on into Ondo as it is next on the list. And let's take a look here, right? So, I mean, take a look at the 8-hour. Deviation below the low. Reclaim of the value area low. POC is next. This fib is now changed. I mean, I would just say, you know, let me actually pull this real quick. Yeah, so this is what I would look at locally. But overall, you're back above your macro volume profile. You went to the POC, flipped the POC, and went to the high. And I know this sounds repetitive, guys, but there's a reason that I do this. It's because it does play out time and time again. And I just want to kind of drill it into the Mafia's brains, right? Because when you start to see that stuff, right, in order to actually have confidence to look for bounces at places and actually see them come in, sometimes it takes a lot of, like, going back and seeing it happen time and time again. That's why I always drill it into everybody's head that, like, just pay attention to the volume profiles. They're very, 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 very rarely disrespected. And again, there's things to look at on the money flow, market structure, all that stuff to identify if it will hold or not. Obviously, not every value area low will hold. Typically, you know, if you break down, you're going to be looking for much lower prices, hunting out your next value area to the downside. But when you have the signals at the value area low, there's high probabilities of a bounce. They're very key levels. So you held the low, you went to the POC, you flipped the POC. I would say you're pretty healthily on your way to that value area high at $1.22. Does not mean that it has to happen immediately, right? A lot of people will say, oh my God, what the heck happened? I thought we were going to go through the profile, and now we're just dumping. You have to have longer term. You have to have like a longer term viewpoint, right? You have to understand the longer term context. Taking a look at the 2-day. 2-day money flows crossed over into the green. You have the red dot coming. I would even say it's probably somewhat likely to get some kind of a pullback. But if you do get them with the money flow being in the green here, we would more than likely look for higher lows and higher highs. Key level of support, I'm going to break this down very simply, POC of the range. If you don't lose the POC, I would look for the continuation of higher lows and higher highs for bigger breaks to the upside. If I were to mark out this, you know, wonked out kind of bottom structure that you had here, technical target, pretty much there, right? Pretty much these highs. But if we do pull back, POC at 82 cents is going to be absolutely key. Support, right? Maybe if you do get a big pullback, right? Like, I would not be looking at this like, oh my God, what's happening? I would just be like, okay, I know that sometimes the rotations of the volume profiles are messy, right? Even here. Oh my God, we're going to the POC. Wait, what happened? I thought we were going to rotate the profile. Eventually, you get that noise, but you do come to the POC. You do lose the POC. You do go to the value area low. Now, what I was looking at locally here before, if you were wondering, was just the fact of, like, when I try to identify, like, here's the simple fact. More often than not, if you have the signals, you come to the low, POC, flip the POC high. That's the general volume profile laws. That's what you look for. When you approach from the high, you look to go to the high, to the POC, to the low for the full rotation. That is what you look for. But how do you know what the turbulence is going to look like, right? How do I know if there's going to be a bounce here, right? How do I know if there's going to be a bounce here? How do I know if it's, right? So what I would do is I would look at the local profiles, which very simply put would be sitting like right here, right? I would pull this as a volume profile, right? And then I say to myself, hey, if I'm going to get turbulence within the range, I don't like to show this too much because it gets confusing when you have a range inside of a range, right? It becomes like rangeception. But if I were looking at this, I would say to myself, well, hey, if I'm going to look at some local levels to watch, what would I say? I would say, well, hey, if I come up into this local volume profile, this POC is the level to break. Once I can hold on top of that POC, I'm looking up towards the local value area high. Sure, the bigger target is going to be up at the value area high on the macro range, but I could expect some potential resistance as we approach the local value area high. Right, where are we rejecting from? Deviate above the volume profile. You get the rejection back into the range. So if we get stuck in here, maybe you get a bigger pullback. You could even look at this as a local level of support as well. You have your value area low POC confluence. Going to have to make this a little bit more accurate, right? So this would be key support, in my opinion, locally, sitting between about 90 and 92 cents. If you lose that, you have your point of control just underneath you. That's what I'd be looking at on Ondo. And you even have some bearish divergences here. So yeah, that's what I would look at on Ondo. I love this stream. Shout out to, I love this stream. Shout out to Maggie Meister. Shout out to you. Thank you for being here. Smash that like button. I'm sure you already did. You might have hit the love button. Shout out to you. Shout out to Meister in the chat. Shout out to Brian Varney. Said, tell people to use lower leverage with altcoins or at least get structure between price and stop before cranking up the risk. Yeah, shout out to Brian Varney. Well, it depends on how you use leverage, right? For me personally, right, using high, I mean, obviously, altcoins are very volatile. Using high leverage can be very risky. So, yeah, like I wouldn't say, like, you have to understand, right? Very good point, Brian. Very important point, I should say. It's the same thing on Ethereum. It's the same thing on Bitcoin, right? Like, when I'm looking at these altcoins for, like, the longer-term perspective, I just want to show you some I'll show you a little bit of, like I'll give you some context here, right? You do not, right? Like what I am talking about, not that you should ever make decisions based off what anyone else says, but when you look at this, right, it's not the time to enter a 50x long, right? Because if you're going to go, like, let's say you go for a full golden pocket retracement of the local move, right? If you get that move down, especially on an altcoin, it's going to be a pretty significant percentage, right? It's going to be a 22% correction to the downside. You're going to get absolutely cooked if you're trying to long the top on super high leverage. That's why I always try to tell people you want to get bullish and look for longs as price comes down, right? The other way you could do it is to wait for the reclaim of the value area low and then look to enter a trade. But just understand, like, especially with what I'm looking at here on the higher time frames, longing on like super high leverage is very risky, right? Because I'm leaving room for corrections, right? And you don't need much of a correction if you're using a ton of leverage to get liquidated. So definitely be careful. If you're out there leverage trading, right? Like leverage can be a very, very beautiful tool, but it can also turn into like a gambling outlet and it can be very risky as well, obviously. So definitely be careful with that. If you want to understand how to use leverage the correct way, the way that I like to use it, if you go to the beginner series, there is a leverage trading tutorial. It's called the only leverage trading guide you'll ever need. Go watch that video. Tony D, if you could drop that video in the chat, go check that out. It'll show you how you can actually trade responsibly with leverage. You can turn anything into a gamble if you let it. If you let your, degenerate side come out. So yeah, please be careful with leverage on the altcoins. You would want to try to keep it on the lower side just because of the extra volatility that you get with them. So there we go. Let's see. I need new all-time highs. Shout out to Rocket Canty. Shout out to you, man. Let's go. Hopefully we can get it to do some new all-time highs very soon. All right, so let's continue on here. I like to 50x my rent money every month. No stop loss. Yeah. Shout out to you, grow, I grow. Let's go, baby. All or nothing. All or nothing. How dedicated are you? All right, so we took a look at Solana, Pangu, Ondo. I guess we'll take a look at DOT. Let's take a quick look at DOT. There's Tony D dropping that leverage trading video in the chat for you. So if you guys want to check that out, go ahead and click that to understand how to use leverage in a not so risky way. So yeah, let's jump in here on Polkadot real quick. And we do have some giveaways to do today as well, guys. So get ready. All right, so let's take a look here. On Polkadot, right, I'm just going to, actually, I'll bring it up over here because we already have a chart on DOT. Bada boom. Right, here we are. We were tapping on that doorway to higher prices. I can now get rid of this fib. This is now old news. Deviate below the low. Let's check this. Did we get a weekly? Yeah, you do have a little bit of a weekly bull div confirmed on Polkadot as well. Again, this does not mean that you have to just Lambo candle up in a straight line. You have to be aware of pullbacks. Obviously, I mean, I would say this. With Polkadot, I mean, you lose this 786 at 334. I'm looking for new lows to be made. So, pretty clear line in the sand. I don't know if you're going to have to come down and retest this, but you really do not want to lose that blue box. If you lose this 786 at decisively, going to be looking to take out that low for sure, right? But on the contrary, if you come down and stick it as support, it could be a higher low before finally re-entering the range. As of right now, currently, you are inside of your range. So technically, you do have your value area low as your key level of support sitting at about 397, right? So if we do get a little cool off here, you could look for that value area low to hold the support. If you lose it, definitely the biggest key level of support is sitting down here between 362 and 333. If you lose 333, really just pretty much 334, I'm looking for a break of structure to the downside. But with the 2-day money flow, let's take a look. Just now starting to cross over into the green. 2-day money flow crossover on the last move got us from right here to above the range. Back here, we have the 2-day money flow crossover. A little later in the range, it did continue the overall trend to the upside. Here's that money flow crossover. You have the pump the higher low, the higher high, another higher low on the higher time frame into a new high. Money flow indicates the overall trend. It does not call the retracements. Those are called by red dots. In this case, it was called by a 2-day bearish divergence. Right? So you can get these within money flow crossovers. That's why I say you do have to be careful of potential pullbacks. And this is why you don't want to just like long the altcoins on 100x leverage, right? I mean, you could if you want, but you do just have to be aware, right? Like the market moves like this. It's very easy to come up here and be like, hey guys, I'm very bullish on altcoins. I think it's very high probability to see the fulfill of this range, right? But if we get the fulfill of that range, right, there's a chance, right, that before you fill the range, you get a little bit of turbulence first, right? So I just try to account for all of that. I like to give as much of a detailed view on the market as I possibly can for you guys. It's realistic, right? Nothing just goes up in a straight line, even though once you get in these profiles, typically you do see fast moves up. But there are pullbacks, right? You get a little pullback as you continue up. So I would say DOT, very nice to see a break above the value area low at $4, or I guess we can call it technically $3.98. That is your key level of support as of right now. Locally, if you lose it, watch that golden pocket 786, which is a huge level of support to hold, especially that 786. Let me just pull this locally. Yeah, I mean, this is like a zone on the value area low, but I'm not going to get it super involved there. So yeah, just watch that POC. If you lose it, maybe you come back down here, but you definitely don't want to lose the 786. But other than that, 2-day money flow is crossing over into the green. Daily money flow is on its way to the upside. Maybe that red dot gives you a little cool off once we print it. But with that daily money flow coming up, let's check that 2-week. There's that 2-week green dot. We still have 2 days and 1 hour to confirm that green dot. If we get that daily money flow crossover, that might be the thing that starts the bigger move to the upside. Maybe you get a little ebb or flow to the downside on the red dot, and then the money flow crosses over into the green, continuing your trend towards that macro target of 638. Longer term target. So there you go. There is Polkadot, baby. Let's take a look at Syrup. I say Syrup. I'm from New York. I think some people say SERP. Can you take a look at SERP? SERP. 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 Anyway, let's continue on here. It's Friday, guys. It's Friday. I'm feeling it. Just make sure I'm looking at the right thing here. Kind of a difficult chart here, to be honest with you. I can just tell by the lack of price history. All right, so I'll do what I can here, right? Not a lot of information, right? It's a little bit difficult to look at on the higher time frames. Why is that? Well, look at Market Cipher B. We have no money flow development here. It looks like the daily money flow is coming out. 3-day, no information. Obviously, anything above the 3-day, we just have no Market Cipher information at all. So I'm going to have to try to keep this a little lower time frame. The only thing I can see here on the daily is that money flow is starting to come out. But again, not a lot of information there. The money flow just started. So if we look here, I will just break down some local levels for you. Man, not gonna lie, if this was inverted, this would look super bullish. Just nice rounded bottom, roar into a new all-time high, but obviously that's not the case. We are literally in the opposite situation. I'm not saying it has to dump, but all right, let me try to get some macro levels for you here. No monthly on POCs. Weekly's mega deep here. I mean, this sits at about 21 cents. Now, hopefully you don't have to get that gigantic drop, but I'm not going to mark that out because it's super far away. At the end of the day, that does seem to be where most of your, 33 cents at the daily MPOC. You got your another daily at 30 cents. You have another resistance daily MPOC sitting right up here. Bada boom. This is still developing. All right, so that's pretty much. Could pull up this weekly horizontal. We have another weekly resistance up here. I will mark out this weekly, although it's already been tapped. It could be an important level to reclaim. All right. And then kind of hard to pull a profile here, if I'm being totally honest. You just don't have a lot of... Yeah, I mean, you just don't have a lot of... it's just kind of like a wonky price action. You don't have like a really clean range to look at. I mean, this could be POC rejection. Just trying to work it through here. Yeah, I don't really love any of these profiles, to be quite honest with you. If I were to pull all this price action, try maybe to look at something like this, but again, it's just not the strongest. It's not the cleanest profile, in my opinion, right? So you have your low here, your POC, value area high. So you do have some confluence here. Yeah, this is a tapped weekly. I would say reclaiming this level is key. If you can reclaim the weekly here, get above the value area low, that would be nice for a potential rotation into the POC and the value area high. And again, I'm basing this off of very little information on Market Cipher B. Money flows in the red on the 4-hour. Yeah, I just don't know. As far as direction goes here with Market Cipher B, it's a little bit hard to call just because of the lack of information. But this would be some key levels that I would look at, right? Flip that weekly horizontal at about 43 cents to support. You could eventually push above that value area low, in which case you could target the POC. You do have a little bit of confluence here on the daily MPOC and value area high. This sits at, if you are able to fill the entire range, that would be sitting between 55 and 56 cents. And then, this would be a big level of support down here with the weekly and daily MPOC. That sits between 35 and 33 cents. And then you have this lonesome daily MPOC at 30 cents. But these would be like big levels I would look at. Your goal is to get back above this value area low at 44 cents. If you can't do that and you break this low, you might be on your way to this weekly daily MPOC at 35 to 33 cents. Other than that, it's a little bit hard to do full analysis on this without Market Cipher B. Yeah, because if you can't reclaim this weekly, you're also pretty much losing this point of control, which would call for the value area low and a potential deviation. Just walking you through my exact thoughts here. Lose this value area low. Maybe you deviate into this macro support before finally rotating back up. So, yeah, I mean, those are the only ranges I can really look at. But I would watch this volume profile with your value area low, key doorway to higher prices at 44 cents, POC at 48, value area high, daily MPOC at about 56. So there you go. That's what I would look for on syrup. Very hard to call the direction here, though. I mean, money flow coming out on the daily, you would think continuation down. But, again, there's not a lot of information here, so take that with a grain of salt. So there we go. Let's see. Oh God, Satoshi Glakamoto said that's what she said. Let's see. Yo, let's go. Shout out to Dave Digital. Thank you for the super chat. Said it's about dang time. You got 1,000 likes. Get her done. Shout out to Dave Digital. Are we almost there? Oh, there we go. 982, baby. $200 in Solana. Looks like we're going to be giving it away at the end of the live stream. Let's go. Shout out to Dave Digital. Thank you for the super chat. Show Dave some love in the chat with those DD Dunkin' Donut Dave Digital emojis if you have a Frankie Candles membership. Let's go. Come on, guys. Run it up to 1,000. I think we can do it. And with all that being said, let's go ahead and start doing some giveaways. I think we'll probably hit that goal as we're doing the giveaways. We have 10 bags of Cardano to give away. And if we hit 1,000 likes, we'll see an extra $200 in Solana given away to one lucky CandleMafia member. 987, baby. Come on. Smash the like. Lurkers, we're counting on you. Let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead and at Tony D, he's probably typing on the computer trying to get the giveaways pulled. Tony, let's just do the 10 Cardano giveaways, and then we'll pull a separate winner for the $200 in Solana if we hit the goal. Oh, there we go. Let's go, baby. Come on. Shout out to the CandleMafia. Finally, those 1K likes, guys. We need that price action to move to get the 1K likes. Let's go. Dave, can you put in a good word with Nightbot for me? Shout out to K Diggity. Let's go. I think Phoebe already talked to him for you. All right. I think Tony D is here. He's probably just Tony D, don't answer me. If you're hearing me talk right now, just keep doing your thing. I'm sure he's trying to run the giveaways. All right, and if he doesn't pop up, if he doesn't call the giveaways very soon, then I guess we're gonna have to call it a wrap, guys. No giveaways. I'm just kidding. We'll figure out a way to do it. All right, so while we're waiting for that, Nightbot, I'm sorry for threatening you with a virus last time. Shout out to Golden Child. Everybody beefing with Nightbot is hilarious. Don't be a hater, Nightbot. Shout out to Crypto Maxi. DB saying, I'll win. I love the confidence. Let's go. Shout out to Michael S. Said, LFG, I'll even take a hat. Shout out to Tony D. I appreciate you, bro. He said, want me to draw 11 names and announce which one is the $200 winner? Yeah, sure. Tony, you could just drop all 11, but just make sure you separate the Solana winner. And, run it, baby, run it. Tyler Durden said, I'll pick the winners. Tyler's like, I'm gonna pick whoever's been behaving the most. You're gonna get the win. All right, congratulations to the future winner. Shout out to Bala. Let's go. Welcome in. Good to see you. All right, I guess while he's doing that, I guess we could take a look at another altcoin here. We'll take a look at let's take a look at Z. What else do we have? We have Z-Sync. Z-Back, that as well. Actually, first, let's take a look at Fetch. Because I said I would look at this yesterday, and we never got a chance. See if we can get, I got to keep an eye on that winner coming in. Okay, beautiful. So taking a look at Fetch. Well, there we go. Door at a higher price is already circled there. So, yeah, I'll be honest with you guys. For this one. Okay, all right, interesting. I don't love the context here. The fact that we got into the low and we're just kind of bouncing randomly when looking at this volume profile. But if we do extend it a little bit, it does turn into the value area high, which would be a decent place to get a bounce from. And, yeah, you lost the 786. All right, so I'm going to tell you this. This is very key to break out of. We got to hold. Let me just see what this is old. I can get rid of that. What is this? This is somewhat. I'm just going to leave this because we have the take that off because we have the value area high. This is, I mean, you got to stay above this value area high. If you break back down in here, it's just like, I don't know. You have a ton of support down here. I'll mark this out. I don't know if you have to come up here or come down here. It's a little bit of a sticky situation, to be quite honest. But this zone down here is going to be, I mean, this is very confident. You have a weekly, 2 daily MPOCs. I'm not quite sure. This is probably just, we might have been looking at that as a liquidity sweep, which is probably what happened. A little sweepy sweep before sending it back up. But you have 2 daily MPOCs sitting down here. This is definitely, I mean, you lose this daily MPOC, I would argue that you're probably on your way back through the profile. The reason I don't, again, changing the context, pulling the profile a little further to the right does make this the value area high, which is a nice place to bounce. But when viewing it through the lens of this volume profile, it's like you approach from the high, you get back in, you front run the POC, you break back out. If you lose this, I would be inclined to think that you're probably going to rotate at least to the point of control, if not the value area low. So if you do come back down here in a big way, you definitely want to hold about 38 cents. But with that being said, right, if you could just stick support on top of this value area high, you're going to be looking up towards that value area low of the previous range. We've already come up and tested it, got the rejection. Let me pull some local, pull it from the higher low to the high. All right, yeah, so you are bouncing off the 786. So arguably, if you hold above this value area high, you could look for a reapproach of that value area low to potentially break back in and come into the upper profile. Yeah, this one's a little bit more difficult, to be quite honest. So yeah, if you lose the anchored VWAP value area high at about 70 cents, I would be careful of a potential continuation down. If I pull the hyperlocal fib here, you could see that value area high confluence somewhat on the value area high. So yeah, I would say for the most part, you just want to stay above this value area high. Approach the value area low, always going to be resistance. We've already rejected it once. If you are going to continue up and break this high, it does make sense to get above that value area low, target the POC, and go back to the high. This is just kind of wonky price action, though, to be quite transparent. So yeah, but other than that, right, market cipher-wise, all the same signs are on the chart. 2-day money flow crossover, 2-week green dot printing, daily money flow, starting to cross over into the green as well. So yeah, you just really don't want to get accepted back into this range. So your hope is to get up here to the value area low and flip 96, 97 cents to support and then target up towards $1.31. And then you could just look up towards this volume profile to continue the move. Shout out to Crypto Max. He said, I'm calling it. Somebody's going to win. There we go. The giveaway winners are in. Shout out to Frankie Candles, also known as Tony D, trying to steal my identity. Shout out to, we got Reigns HZ. We got You Grow, I Grow. Let's go. Yoshi, Pedro, Nick, Bosky, Jan, Aztec, Sam Berger, Kasim Crypto, and for $200 in Solana, we got Mortimer Duke. Yo, shout out to Mortimer, bro. You've been tuning in a lot recently. Shout out to Mortimer. You just got $200 in Solana, and all the other winners get a small bag of ADA for the giveaways. Let's go. See, we get 1,000 likes on the live streams, guys. We just make it rain. We throw that money in the air, and sometimes Mortimer will catch it. So shout out to Mortimer. Congratulations, and shout out to everybody who won a bag of ADA. Let's go. Let's see. Shout out to Frank. Says, I searched for a lot of YouTube crypto guys and gals. Most are annoying and hard to understand. Frankie is the best, great explainer and teacher. Cuts right through my ADD. Shout out to Frank. Sometimes it takes a little ADD to get through someone else's ADD. Let's go. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate you for saying that. And hey, we're just up here giving out that sound analysis, and just plays out more often than it doesn't. So hopefully, I'm glad you're learning. It sounds like you're enjoying the content. So I appreciate you for being here, man. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Turn on notifications if you have not already, so you don't miss urgent market updates or emergency live streams as price action starts ripping. Let's see. Dave Digital said it's a little Frankie Candles Mortimer. Shout out to Dave Digital. I don't know exactly what that means, but shout out to Mortimer. Tony D says petition to bring back the old wheel or some version of it. If you're an OG of the Candle Mafia, you guys will know the Wheel of Pain and Pleasure. Bring back the scam wheel. Shout out to Wig589. Yeah, if you guys remember the Wheel of Pain and Pleasure, this happened right when I started my channel, pretty much at the start of the bear market. We had to stay entertained here while we were making our money on the shorts. And yeah, we used to do some crazy stuff. I used to do push-ups. I used to eat crickets. I used to do a bunch of stuff. Maybe we should add another version of the wheel. What is the money flow indicator that you use? Shout out to MVP Basketball. Said, well, he said what I said. But yeah, that is Market Cipher B. This is Market Cipher B, and I'll say this as I say every single time. I do not tell people to use Market Cipher because I am a paid shill by any means whatsoever. I used Market Cipher before I ever knew CryptoFace. I used Market Cipher before I ever had a YouTube channel, and I use it because it works. If you want to use our link, you could save, I think, 20% if you use our discount code or the link in the description down below. If you don't want to use it, that's totally fine too. I would still recommend it whether you use our link or not. This is one of the most powerful indicators you could possibly use when it comes to just general indicators and not trading tools like the volume profile. Definitely a huge thing to look at. So yeah, there you go. Tony D said check poll. 87% yes. Okay, so we got to figure out what we want to do with the Wheel of Pain and Pleasure. Maybe we'll do like a digital wheel. We'll make it a little spicy. I don't know. Maybe we'll do like I have to 100x long some coin. I don't know. I don't know. We got to figure out what we got to do. Hang on one sec. I missed the super chat here. Whoops. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I think I missed a couple of super chats. Hang on one sec. Let me come into these super chats real quick. Oh, my God. I missed a couple of them. Shout out to Wick589. Let's go, baby. Let's go. He says, Frankie flipping fibs. He forward-focused fast, done with flipping burgers, got a cheddar forecast, fortune flash flood. He grabbing up the cash. Frankie's market fire, leaving nothing but ash. Pew, pew. Shout out to Wick589, slinging the poetry here on the Frankie Candles YouTube channel. Shout out to Wick589, absolute OG of the channel, and one of the few Candle Mafia members I've met in real life. Turns out he's as awesome in real life as he is on the internet. So shout out to Wick589, famous poet, by the way, guys. You should look him up. He's published in many very prestigious poem books. I don't know. But anyway, let's see here. Jamal says, what's good, Frank Bing MF Bong? Can you check out Sneck or let me know if it's important to look at Cardano? Appreciate your consistency over the years and great energy and attitude. Shout out to Jamal. I appreciate you so much for saying that, bro. Let's take a look at Snack real quick. I'm a snack. I'm a snack. Anyway, let's take a look here. So let's pull up a higher time frame. I mean, low-key clean. It's pretty crazy. Let me just pull the fib from the low to the high. All right. All right. I'll give you some key levels here. I'll give you some key levels. I'll give you the upper levels, right? So I'll take as far as the market cipher goes, it is lagging a little bit behind, but it is very similar, right? 2-day money flow is coming up into the green. You've already gotten a pretty massive move up. Daily money flow is about to cross into the green as well. It's getting very close. So watch that, right? Turbulence could be expected, but overall, the continuation of the trend would be likely to continue to the upside based off money flow if it crosses into the green. 2-day money flow a little bit further away here, but still just trending in the right direction. It is generally, hopefully you're putting in higher lows to continue that crossover into the green. So it doesn't look horrible on market cipher. If we take a look at this local range here real quick, pull from the high to the low, neutral. Okay, so you got one major volume profile up here. It's actually a little bit smaller, but it is one significant volume profile you have, and I will pull up the VPVR as well. I'm going to give you some simple, quick analysis on this bad boy. And let me just see this real quick. Yeah, so you did get the retest. Let me pull this to... Yeah, see, I don't know, guys. A lot of people look at the current profiles, and I do. It's just those previous profiles will just give you those levels that not a lot of people watch. Bullish backtest of the value area high, right? So very nice to see that you got some support there. Deviate below the low, back in, POC value area high, retest the high into a massive pump. Big correction down to retest the range high. I mean, there's nothing really that bad here, if I'm being honest. Even on that massive drop to the downside, you really just came back to retest your structure here. And if you're going to be looking for a higher low and a higher high, I mean, this would be a decent place to bounce, in my opinion. Retest that structure and then continue the uptrend. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed to continue the uptrend, but again, if we're in the environment we believe we're in, then we could potentially see those new all-time highs. But right now, it's a little bit... you could pull this little volume profile for some local levels. I will go ahead and pull that for you. Probably getting respected, and look at that, it is getting respected right now. Let's go value area low, POC, value area high, bada boom. So yeah, I mean, if you just look at this from a lower time frame, there's your local volume profile into the POC. You hold that low as support by the skin of your teeth, back above the POC, into the value area high. So these will be local levels to watch. 0.00282. POC sitting at 0.00313. Value area higher at 0.00388. Once you break out of this area of balance, right, you have your nice volume profile. You rotate it in full. Maybe you bing-bong around in here, but once you break out, I would probably be looking at that value area low at 0.0053921 as your bigger doorway to higher prices. And again, it's not even really that big of a range, but it is definitely sitting up there, right? So again, if you impulse out of this range, you're very likely going to seek out your previous area of value. You have your value area low and your POC very close to each other up here. So I would watch that as a range of resistance from the POC to the value area low. Right? So watch out for that as resistance. But once you flip it to support, hopefully you can come up to the value area high and get the bigger breakout. But these would be key supports, right? If you wind up getting a massive dump to the downside, you don't want to lose this value area high, obviously, at 15830. Breakdown in there, you're at risk of coming lower, but with that money flow potentially looking to cross over into the green on time frames like the daily and the 2-day, you would hopefully look for higher lows and higher highs to come. I can't say that that's definitely going to be the higher low, but if you take a look here, impulse to the high, yeah, so I would say this is probably your local support between this POC and value area low. So yeah, I would just watch this volume profile, and then if it is able to imbalance out of here, target this range. That's what I'm looking at. So yeah, there you go. Even some lower levels as well. All right, let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's take a look. Dogecoin. I will take a look at Dogecoin really quick. All right, yeah, let's take a quick look at Dogecoin really, really fast here. There's a dolphin in the room. All right, so this is old now. I can get rid of that fib. Daily MPOC still live down there. So yeah, I mean, shout out to anybody who watches this stream every day, guys. I'm not going to lie. I set out with the goal of creating this channel as a resource I wish I had when I was learning how to trade. Man, I wish this was around. So obviously, guys, we flipped this value area low a long time ago, but just to show context, right? We get that value area low. We are targeting the eventual visit of the POC, still sitting at 26 cents. That still remains the key target to the upside for Dogecoin. Locally, right, again, when you look at the volume profiles, obviously the big fill of the range is going to be likely, but sometimes it can get very noisy, right? So to identify that noise, we pull those local ranges to identify kind of where you'll get those sticking points. So that's why we were looking at this local range over the past couple of weeks, saying, well, hey, if we can get up here, value area low, resistance, resistance. Once you flip it to support, and I can come down to a lower time frame just to show you guys how accurate these levels can be. Been looking at this level forever. Resistance, resistance. Finally, you flip it to support, into the POC, into the value area high. So right now, the local range would be sitting between 21 cents at the value area low, POC 22 cents, value area high 23 cents. 21, 22, 23, right? But overall, right, like the overall continuation and macro target would be about 26 cents on Dogecoin, potentially up to the weekly MPOC at 27 cents. Once you break above that, you're going to be looking for the much bigger move above the POC into the macro value area high, just like we had on the last fill of the range to the upside and the last fill of the range to the downside. You are going to get turbulence. That's why we pull up the local levels. But overall, I would still anticipate the longer-term situation to be this. Right now, why am I not looking for massive Fibonacci retracements for lower highs and massive lower lows? Simply comes down to money flow. 2-day money flow crossover into the green, higher lows and higher highs through the profile is more likely. Not guaranteed, but more probable. Daily money flow crossover into the green as well with your 2-week green dot printing. Another thing that could be indicating a very big move up. Monthly green dot on almost all the altcoins are also very close to printing as well. Very similar signal that we can look at. This monthly green dot prints, probably going to get a big move to the upside. Last monthly green dot that we had was literally happening as we were approaching the value area low. We get above the low, we shoot up to the high. That was on a monthly green dot. Same thing is about to happen right here. And we have the daily money flow crossover with the 2-week green dot. We have the 2-day money flow crossover into the green alone. That's the roadmap, right? Are we going to see a 27-cent Dogecoin very soon? Hopefully. Are pullbacks possible? Absolutely. But overall, higher lows and higher highs are to be expected. It wouldn't really be until we lost the value very low at 16 cents where I would be looking at this as like potentially dangerous. Plenty of room to come down. And you have support. 2 daily MPOCs, the value area low. You have an untapped weekly MPOC down here as well. So even if something crazy happened, you at least have some kind of big support. So there you go. But you could just see, not only are the high time frame profiles respected, but also the low time frame profiles. Resistance, resistance, flip it to support, POC, value area high, support, support, back in, back to the POC, right? Actually kind of front ran the POC there. But there you go. That's what I'd be looking at. Macro range on Dogecoin. Value area low, 16 cents. POC, 26 cents. Value area high, 38 cents. And with all that being said, guys, I think that's all the time we got for tonight's live stream. We went extra late today, but we got 1,000 likes, and that's what I love. Shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for being here. I wish I could take a look at every single altcoin, but obviously we would never end the live stream. But I do have to get out of here. I appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you so much for 1,000 likes. I appreciate every single one of you guys. If you enjoyed the free content, the free education, if you appreciate the daily TA, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Don't miss the next move on Bitcoin, Ethereum, or the altcoins. We saw all this happening before we started getting the moves. So tune in. Even if you missed the move on Ethereum, you could catch it on something else, and we'll be the first people to let you guys know when those bottoms are coming in. So maybe we get the pullback over the weekend. Bitcoin, last little check-in here, sitting at... still just bing-bonging around to where we were. Maybe we get the continued pullback. If you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. We start with Bitcoin, then we go into the alts. I give my full thoughts on everything. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate every single one of you from the bottom of my heart. I don't just say that because I'm on camera. I say it because I mean it. Shout out to Jay Violet. Shout out to Dave Digital. Shout out to NW, Brian Varney, Scott, Vegas Claw, Dave Digital, Jesse, Pose, Regular Guy Trades. Shout out to everybody for the super chats. I appreciate all of you. Shout out to K Diggity. Shout out to... Satoshi Glakamoto, ADD Dad. I will see you guys all tomorrow. Have a great weekend. Have a safe weekend. And I will see you here on Monday. Same place, same time, right here, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Frank Candles YouTube channel. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm going to get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Man, shout out to K Diggity. Didn't let it slide. I actually said see you tomorrow, same place, same time. I meant Monday. But listen, if Bitcoin does something crazy, maybe we'll have to go live in an emergency stream. But if not, it'll be Monday, same place, same time, right here, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all know the rest. Should we bring back the wheel? That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to